What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive, presented by Odd Shopper. I'm Dave Loughran, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. Is this Prize Picks? This is not, right? Okay. I'm right? Okay.
Way to prep for this one.
What?
Way to prep for this one.
No, I'm right.
I should have hit my reload.
But it said he had Prize Picks on the banner. I was right.
Yeah, Luffy.
But he's going like this and then like this. So I'm going, are you right? And you're telling me it's on me, or is it on you? You know, it's on me and you're right. I don't know. But all right. Presented by Odd Shopper. I'm Dave Loughran. Let's run this back with Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. Sure, I prepped Marino. I was not wrong. Hey, get out of here with that shit. Anyway, don't throw me off this early in the show. Congrats on the win last night. Big MLB takedown. Feeling good, right? After all that money you spent in Vegas.
Yeah, it was nice because coming off the Vegas trip, I'd lost like $25K in my first 2 days back also. So nice to get a $100K win under the belt.
Yeah, so that's like 40,000 in 4 days. And then you're basically, okay, good. So you're back at it, back in the black. Anyway, well, this is a interesting slate tonight. And of course, we'll dive into all of it because we have only 2 games. And the Joel Embiid looming news is a big one because at this point, he was out, but they had to rule him they have to have him out on the official injury report if he hasn't cleared concussion protocol. But then if you clear concussion protocol, you can be upgraded. But then he was upgraded to doubtful. However, I'll say this about Embiid, Adam, and I think you would agree. People always talk about like, oh, he's soft or he's always injured. This dude has proven to us that if he can play, like if he actually is physically capable of playing and it's a meaningful game, the guy's going to do everything in his power to get out there. And I assume he's going to try to do as much as he can to play tonight.
Yeah, I was going to kind of ask what your overall feeling on this was because for me, I think that because now he's still listed as doubtful instead of out. I think Doc Rivers is just lying and that Embiid's going to play. Like if he cleared concussion protocols, I think he's going to try and go at least.
Yeah, Doc's full of shit, man.
Yep.
The thing too is that so he was already fitted for a mask. Embiid has worn masks before. Remember Markelle Fultz put the shoulder up into Embiid's eye during practice?
No.
I don't know if you remember that, but that's why he had the mask last time a few years ago. So listen, if he's feeling okay coming off a concussion, you wear the mask and you play. I feel like he will. Now, the whole doubtful thing is odd. I really don't know what to make of that. I have no idea. Let's see. The 4:30 injury report still has him as doubtful. Yeah. But upgraded from out to doubtful. And then basically he said he's going to do everything he can to play. So are you projecting him in right now?
Right now I have him in, yeah. I've also just kind of ignored that game so far just because we're waiting on the Lowry news and we're waiting on the Embiid news. So like I just, projected the Phoenix Dallas game first and then that way I didn't waste my time. But my assumption for now is that he's going to play.
We have Joel Embiid in our projections, which by the way, ownership projections entirely free today. Do not have to pay a cent for them. Same with MLB player rankings, NHL player rankings, and UFC pro plays. All of that is free. Yeah, it's tough though, because Kyle Lowry's missed 4 straight games, of which I think they've won all of them, or at least 3 of 4. That's big. Don't get me wrong, but the Joel Embiid news is huge because if Joel Embiid sits, we've seen what this Philadelphia team looks like. I still think they get swept, honestly, even if he plays, but
yes,
hopefully I'm wrong. What were you gonna say?
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, I think it's looking bleak. Anyway, let's dive into this. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. We got almost 600 watching here out of the gate. I mean, 73 likes on almost 600. If you haven't done so, you're forgiven, but just take that single second if you like this stuff. If you're watching on your phone, click out of chat, hit thumbs up, pop back into chat, however you want to do it. Whatever gets the job done, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all you guys who have already done so. And if you want to join, hit join down below. Free super chats each month, the custom emojis, those sweet badges in chat. You'll see them. Got our boys iced up in there with the 1-year badges, and we'll always prioritize your questions and comments along with our premium Discord members. All right, so let's start with Miami here. Honestly, at this rate, should we just go Phoenix and Dallas first? Should we just go Phoenix, Dallas first?
I think it would make sense. I mean, we probably won't get news during this show anyway.
But we might.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, there's no reason not to go Phoenix, Dallas first.
Let's say we go, because we're splitting these, right? Half hour each with a little bit of filler in between. I think it's doable. Look, and if we don't get the news, at least it won't hurt us. It's not going to make a difference. So, Tyler, you mind flipping that? Oh, already done, my man. Look, see, Tyler has atoned for his sins over there as well. All right, so let's do this. Phoenix and Dallas. Phoenix Suns laying a point on the road. They're just so much better than the Utah Jazz when it comes to just looking at these series. You know, Dallas was in a position where you could rain down threes, and Utah offensively is whatever. You know, you have Bogdanovich who can shoot, and Mitchell's obviously good, but they have no real offensive presence in the front court. And, you know, now you look at a team such as the Suns. DeAndre Ayton gave them a ton of trouble in game one. They were switching Luka onto him, and they're just basically like, even Jay Crowder from above the break is just lobbing him up. Not even lobs, but like just throwing it up to him. Easy dunks for DeAndre Ayton. Easy hook shots. Everything he wanted. And then the next game he gets in foul trouble, only finishes with like 9 points. But then you've still got Booker and Paul. It's a really lethal team. And Dallas doesn't really have the offensive firepower to be. There's no way they win this series. I'm sorry to Mavs fans.
Did you see Jason Kidd's quote on Luka?
No.
Paraphrasing, but basically that Luka needs to start to participate on defense.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when the guy has to do everything on offense, maybe it can be difficult. But
yeah, he was like, to be fair, it used to be the same thing with Dirk. Like they would just put him in every pick and roll, and then he decided to actually start participating. And he doesn't need to be great, but at least do something.
It's funny though. Like I'm watching Luka call out the defenses, call the switches and everything, but then doesn't make a difference. Like he's participating, just right. I don't know if it's going to make a whole lot of difference at this point, but that's besides the point. Let's start on the Phoenix. I keep checking my phone
for notifications on injuries, and it's just Dan Strafford trolling in my mentions on Twitter repeatedly.
Let's start on the Phoenix side. We have the front court or back court. We'll talk about Chris Paul and Devin Booker to kick this one off. When it comes to Chris Paul, at this rate, you've got a guy who is still absurdly good, but a little bit unpredictable when you have Devin Booker back in the mix, which we have for a couple games now. What do you make of Chris Paul's assist totals declining over the last 3 games? It's not just Devin Booker, or do you think it's just variance?
I think it's probably just variance, but also Chris Paul's usage rate is up, and normally those are negatively correlated. In the 2 games in the series against Dallas, Paul has a 25.8% usage rate, 23.8% assist percentage. I think when you see a drop in assist percentage like that, 1, it's probably just fluky. But 2, if he is shooting more, he's passing less. So I think it's a combination of the 2.
What do you want to do with him today?
I think he's interesting in tournaments, more so on DraftKings than FanDuel. I know Josh mentioned this morning that Paul's like 9,700 on FanDuel, but on DraftKings at 8,300, only getting about 28% ownership. So less ownership than Harden, less than Booker. It'll be a hell of a lot less than Harden if Embiid sits. But you did get Paul's price tag coming down a little bit. Booker's going up a little bit.
Paul's has come down $1,000 since 3 games ago.
Yeah, and even since last game, I think it was like 8,700 for Paul, 8K or 8,200 for Booker. So I do think that Paul's interesting in tournaments. Like I do give the edge to Devin Booker, but it is worth noting that Paul's usage rate is up. The pick and roll game has been very, very good here. There's no real reason to think that's going to stop. So I do like Chris Paul. Not quite as much as Booker, but Booker is also getting a little bit more ownership.
All right, Chris Paul. Just curious. Yeah. This is kind of wild. Potential assists over the last 3 games, 11. That's very low for him. He averaged Chris Paul. That's low.
Total or per game?
No, per game, but that's still,
yeah.
For
it's
Chris
still
Paul,
low,
that's still total would be insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My brain was like broken. When
but that's still low for him. Like for sure. Very, very low. I don't know. I maybe it means nothing. Like you said, maybe it's just fluky. It's entirely possible. But this is a guy who averaged 20 on the season and 20 in the postseason before the last 3 games. So I don't know. That's like cut in half. I wonder if they're doing something differently. Devin Booker's not having that much of an effect on him, but we'll see. Devin Booker. So first game back, he was rusty, and they got that win, closed out the series. Then the following game, 7 for 20, but it's hilarious because he started off in the first quarter like he was going to have 100 fantasy points. And then last game, not a ton in the peripheral department, but you're getting 30 points from him. He dropped 30. He was 5 for 8 from 3. And then Devin Booker's essentially, on DraftKings at least, essentially the same price as Chris Paul.
Yeah. So, I mean, talked about it with Paul a bit, but you are getting a little bit more ownership going to Booker. I think he projects a little bit better as well, likely to play, an extra few minutes. So I give, the edge to Booker, but I still think that both of those guys look good.
David says, bet the Mavs tonight. Lock. A lock. Maybe they steal one. Definitely possible. Dallas is Phoenix is a much better team than Dallas, though, for sure. There's just no doubt about it. The rest of Phoenix, we get into these same cast of characters that we're always talking about, and now you don't have Devin Booker's absence to open things up for everybody else. But you're still getting ownership again, going to guys like Bridges and Crowder. JaVale McGee is getting ownership. Granted, he got a last game was an interesting one because DeAndre Ayton only played, 18 minutes, and McGee had 5 fouls in 10 minutes, dude, while Biyombo gets 18 minutes and basically leads the center rotation in playing time in the Western Conference semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, it was a ridiculous game foul-wise. You had 4 fouls in 18 minutes for Ayton. You had 5 in 10 minutes for McGee. You had 5 in 13 minutes for Powell. You had 4 in 20 minutes for Finney Smith. It was just an absolutely ridiculous game.
So let's talk about some of these wing players. We can start with Bridges since he continues to be popular. His price is declined $100 each game. He's down to $5,900, but playing an absurd amount of minutes. Usage is super volatile, but it feels like on a slate like this, everybody's going back to Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, I mean, the minutes are nice, and it's not that I don't think you're looking at Bridges as someone that like you're excited to build around or anything like that, but you're just going to get into situations where on this slate, there's not a ton of really good cheap options that you're confident in. There are plenty of guys that you can sort of rotate through, but I think the most underpriced players on this slate are like all north of $7,000. So it's just going to end up being where, you get guys that you like into your lineup, and then you just have $6K left over and you plug Bridges in because he's going to play 40 plus minutes, assuming this game's competitive. So I think that's where, there is some value on Bridges, but it's more so as a last guy in for me than somebody that I'm going out of my way to get to.
Then what about Crowder?
Kind of the same thing. Did play 30 minutes last game and lost some to garbage time. He played 28 minutes in game 1, which was the more competitive game and also the game where not everybody was in foul trouble. I expect that you're getting around 30 minutes from him again. Kind of the same as Bridges, except just, playing less minutes. So given that it's only a $900 price difference, I do like Bridges a little bit more.
All right. Let's get into the rotation at center then, because you were just talking about the fouls last game. I mean, it is what it is. You can't just expect that to be the case every game. None of us do. At this rate, you just have to go into this assuming that, Ayton gets back to the 33 to 35 minutes that he's played throughout the postseason very consistently outside of that one game against that closeout game against New Orleans. He's been a 33 to 35 minute guy. A matter of fact, it's funny because he hasn't outside of that one game and then the foul trouble. He hasn't fallen outside of that range. So we have a pretty good idea of where he should be today. And like I said to you in game 1, I know he only finished with 8 rebounds, and he's not exactly the type of big that's going to rack up peripherals outside of points and rebounds, but he did definitely dominate them as a scorer, led the team in scoring with 25 points, and pretty much got any bucket he wanted because that front court rotation, like Powell struggles, and then you throwing Maxi Kleber in there is brutal. And then if you try and go small, it's even worse.
Yeah. I Yeah, so as far as Ayton goes, like I think, like I agree with you. I think he should get back to around 34 minutes. You can kind of just throw away last game when he was in foul trouble.
Yeah.
There's no real reason for him to come off the floor, barring foul trouble. So I expect him to be around 34 minutes. And the usage rate's also sky high so far in this series, 27.8% usage rate for Ayton. The rebounding numbers are down a little bit. I assume those numbers, correct at least somewhat back closer to his season averages. But I do buy into the increased usage just because they don't have an answer for him in the front court. So I do like Ayton quite a bit at 7,600.
God, he looks like he's 50.
Yeah, it's like Greg Oden the second.
It's amazing. Like if you didn't watch basketball, right? And a buddy had you over and he's a basketball fan or a Suns fan, and you really just didn't have even casual knowledge, and you're watching the game and Ayton's just destroying, and your buddy's like, yeah, man, he's 48 and he's still in the league crushing. You'd be like, that's crazy, but I can see it.
Yeah, you just like start telling people he's the Tom Brady of the NBA, and
right. But wow, what incredible shape this guy is in for being, almost over the hill. But yeah, and then on the other hand, on the other side, I do want to at least ask you about McGee. I mean, he played 10 minutes, 5 fouls. Let's just assume, hypothetically speaking, let's just say Ayton didn't get in, or I'm sorry, let's say Ayton was in foul trouble last game and JaVale McGee wasn't, right? Do you think he would have seen like a decent amount of run?
Yeah, I think he would have for sure seen more. Like, I don't think it would have been, 18 minutes to Ayton, 30 to McGee. I think,
but like 19, 18, maybe 20 seems very reasonable.
Yeah, I think so. Had he not been in foul trouble. And through the first 2 games in this series, he's still at 1.16 DraftKings points per minute. He's around a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy for the season. So the thing with him is just that, 1, there's not a lot of value on the slate. And 2, he's so cheap at 3,200. If he were 4K, at least it would be a situation where like he can really hurt you if he does only play like 10 minutes. But at 3,200, I mean, if he just goes and gets like 13, 14, 15 DraftKings points on a 2-game slate, assuming Luka does what he's supposed to do and those other guys near the top do what they're supposed to do, that can still be useful. And then if you do get, those a couple extra minutes or even just, a little bit more production, McGee can really destroy that price tag. So I think it's still a relatively low floor just because you expect Ayton to play a lot of minutes and McGee basically just to back him up. But I do think that at 3,200, I'll still get to McGee.
Embiid a game time decision.
Yeah, that was obvious.
He's playing.
Yeah. There was no doubt that he was not going to go from doubtful to game time decision.
Right. But he's gone from out to doubtful to game time decision now. So, yeah. And by the way, I know that question I asked you about McGee sounds obvious. Like, yeah, of course he would have got more minutes. But the reason I ask is because we've seen Monty Williams do stuff where Ayton's out, and then that doesn't necessarily mean that McGee ends up being the guy, right? Remember those Biyombo games that we got? Early? But
yeah, like if Ayton had gotten in foul trouble, I still think Biyombo gets into the rotation.
Me too.
Like if Ayton was in foul trouble and McGee wasn't. But also you have Dallas playing small for stretches too. Like you could conceivably, if Ayton's in foul trouble, just run lineups where you have like Booker, Paul, Bridges, Crowder, Johnson. Or one of the other wings, and that can work too. So like I don't think that you necessarily. I think if both Ayton and McGee are not in foul trouble, it's likely that they play 48 minutes combined, or at least close to it. If Ayton were to get in huge foul trouble, I still don't think I don't think they combine for 48. I think that they play some smaller lineups or they get Biyombo in there.
Yeah. But you definitely would want some McGee in a case like that for sure. Okay. Anybody else for Phoenix that we haven't hit on yet? I'm trying to see if, we haven't touched on Cameron Payne or Cameron Johnson or any of those guys. Guys that on a regular season slate we wouldn't even talk about.
Yeah, it's basically with those guys just, it's a 2-game slate. Cameron Johnson is a relatively high usage guy. He's likely to give you 24 minutes or so, assuming this game's competitive and that he can avoid foul trouble. He's another one, 4 fouls in 17 minutes last game. Picked up 4 fouls in 3 fouls, I think, in his first 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So that limited his playing time there. But I do expect that you get 24, 25 minutes from him. doesn't stand out at 4,600, but certainly playable. And then Cameron Payne only played 12 minutes, including garbage time last game, played 19 minutes in the first game, but his production's also been down in the postseason as a result of Paul and Booker playing more minutes. So, at 3,500, certainly don't feel good about Cameron Payne, but if you're playing 150 lineups, I'll have at least a little bit. If I'm playing, one lineup or two lineups, I don't get the Payne.
Per Coach Rivers, Joel Embiid, unlikely to play his usual minutes if he's cleared Friday. Bullshit.
Yep.
It's nonsense. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But why would you play him? Why would you play him? Otherwise, it's an orbital. What's the difference between playing, I don't know, 30 and 40 minutes with an orbital fracture? I'm sure it hurts when you jump and stuff. It can't feel good, right? Coming down. But what difference does it make?
Right. It does. It's not like it's a Achilles injury and they're afraid he's going to tear it or something.
That you've been rehabbing for the past 3 months.
Right. I don't buy it.
I'm not a medical specialist, but it seems like those are. He's already playing 40 minutes with the thumb, right? And if you're cleared from a concussion protocol, or if you're cleared for, I don't know. We can get into all of that, but let's flip it to the other side. Talk a little Dallas Mavericks here. They are ill-equipped to deal with this Phoenix team, but they will do one thing. They will go to Luka Doncic early and often. It's insane that I was doing the Odd Shopper video, the best bets video over on the Odd Shopper channel. Monday through Friday, I do that. And then Eitan does a Saturday, Sunday. But check it out. We've been on a killer roll lately. Hopefully we're riding that wave, because those waves waves like that don't last forever. So hopefully we close out the week on another high note. But man, I was shocked that I was taking the over 51.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Luka today, because it's just such a wild number. But it's such a wildly high number. But they're at home. They're at home. It's a must-win game. He probably plays 43 minutes. And he has, in this series, his usage rate is 42%. He has a 42% assist rate, which is, nobody else is even close on this team, dude. That's the crazy part. He has a 42% assist rate. The next closest is Dinwiddie at 14%. His usage is 42%. Next closest is Brunson at 24, and then Dinwiddie at 15%. He has a 15% rebound rate. No one's above 9% on this team, and he's touching the ball 106 times per game. He's doing literally everything.
Yeah, very clearly the top option tonight, projects to be the top scorer by a lot. What'd you say that the points, rebounds, and assists bet was?
You're gonna be real tight. I can assure you of this. I have over 51.5, and you probably have them around 51, 52.
I have them at 53.5.
Okay. So, but again, it's kind of narrow there, but I think just factoring in that, because you probably have him, what, 40 minutes?
40, yeah.
Right. And he played 44 minutes in game one. Would have played about 41 last game had it not been for the blowout. This is a do or die situation. So, but yeah, he's insanely good. And he's attempting, 26 field goals, almost 10 free throws per game. They don't really have any other answers if they're going to produce points. But how does he stack up just against everybody else on this slate? And is this someone where you're saying, look, I know it makes it difficult to get some other, mid-range or even high mid-range guys in, but Luka Doncic is just far and away the best play on this slate.
Yeah, I think it's not particularly close. And the thing is, even though there's not a lot of value on this slate, in the sense that, guys that you're looking at and you're really confident in and that you really believe are going to do well, there are a lot of cheap guys that exist. And so one or two or three of those guys are going to have good games. Guessing which one it is difficult because none of them look that great, but it's not like a situation where there's only 2 or 3 viable value options. And so it's really difficult to get to Luka. There's so many possible ways to get there that it makes it very likely that Luka ends up being in the winning lineups, just because some combination of those cheap guys are going to hit, just because there's so many to choose from. So that is one thing about this slate, where even though guys don't really stand out, there's still an abundance of cheap options that you can use to get to Luka. And then he just projects, 10 points higher than the next closest guy.
Speaking of Luka Doncic, you get 7 days of Awesemo Plus Platinum for $7 if you use the promo code Luca. It's an insane deal. We usually only run this stuff around like the major holidays or the New Year or something like that. These are like those type of banger promos that everyone always DMs me asking if we have promos going. I'm like, we don't have anything right now that you wait for before you sign up at Awesemo. 7 days for $7. That's $1 a day. This isn't for the express pass or just for one sport for basketball. It's for literally every sport: basketball, baseball, golf. We have USFL. We have Formula One, tennis, soccer, whatever, any contest out there on these sites, we have content for it. Every tool you can think of: boom bust, top stack tool, the top pitchers tool, the lineup builder, ownership projections, player projections across the board, premium Discord with the office hours channel where the pros answer your question. I don't even need to do this. It's $7 for 7 days. You go to awesemo.com/promos, get your foot in the door the easiest way possible. Instead of using Luca at checkout, just go to awesemo.com/promos, click the button. It's way easier. And it just so happened, coincidentally, that 7 for 7, Luca's number 77, and it's 77% off our normal weekly price. So odd stuff. Maybe it's a sign. I don't know. Awesemo.com/promos. Every single thing on the site, $7 entire week. It's $1 a day. I don't understand. I'm going to ask you to maybe better explain this to me, because maybe I'm missing something. Entirely possible, right? I don't really understand. And your first answer will obviously be, well, he's cheap, and I get it. But the Dinwiddie ownership today, this dude, if he's playing, assuming he's playing every minute, and he won't play every minute alongside Luca, but assuming Luca plays 40 plus minutes, Dinwiddie's not going to have a lot of time or a lot of minutes without him. With Luca, since Luca returned in game 4 in that first series on the floor, Dinwiddie has a 12% usage rate and a 8% assist rate with him 10% assist rate. Like, those are rough numbers, man.
Yeah, in the 5 total games this postseason that he's played with Luca active, 18.5% usage rate, 13.5% assist percentage, 28.5 minutes per game.
And that's not factoring Luca might play 44 minutes tonight and be on the floor with him for almost every minute.
Right. Yeah, I don't really get it. I mean, we have him with a 40% chance of being optimal at 38% ownership. My projection on him is basically the same as Alex's. So maybe it's just a case of, again, because Luca does look so good, and we are assuming Embiid's in, so that's another option to pay up for. Maybe it's just that, you don't need a ton from him at that price because he is cheap enough. But I don't really like Dinwiddie here. Like, I don't feel very good about his role on this team because he's going to be playing so many minutes alongside some combination of Luca and Brunson.
Hold on a second.
And so, like, I guess just to elaborate on that too, it's if looking at the boom bust tool with Dinwiddie projected for 22.4 DraftKings points and still having a 40% chance of being optimal, that just makes me think that from a roster construction standpoint, he's useful, but it's still kind of confusing to me, like, why he's twice as likely to be optimal as Reggie Bullock for $200 more, who projects like a point lower. You have other cheap guys you can go to, like Maxi Kleba. You have, the guys on Phoenix, like Crowder at 5K, who I think is very comparable to Dinwiddie. So it's just that I don't really love the ownership here. Like, if he's going to be 38% and Bullock's going to be 24%, yes, obviously Dinwiddie's, the more exciting of the two, but I don't think you should have that kind of ownership gap there. If you look at,
I don't know if he is the more exciting of the two. Right. He probably plays 28, 30 minutes. And by the way, you're confirming what I was thinking. So that's good to know. I don't know if he is, because Bullock might play 44 minutes and I might just rather have him falling into some threes and some rebounds. Dude, with Luca on the floor since he returned, Dinwiddie's averaging, and it's only 91 minutes, but still, Dinwiddie's averaging 0.51 fantasy points per minute. 0.51 fantasy points per minute. Even if you take him off, and not take him off, but even if you just do since Luca returned, 0.67 fantasy points per minute. And he's a bench role player he's a bench guy who probably gets 30 minutes tonight, not playing the whole game like most of these starters are.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. Like the minutes for Bullock, I assume he's going to play like 9 or 10 minutes more than Dinwiddie does. Bullock's not a good point per minute guy, but neither is Dinwiddie. Under these conditions, in the 5 games with Luka active this postseason, he's at 0.67 DraftKings points per minute. Even if you go back and look at the regular season in the games that both Luka and Brunson were active, Dinwiddie, was at 0.95 DraftKings points per minute, but you're not getting as many minutes in those games from Luka typically, playing a few less minutes. So you have a 21.7% usage rate and a 20.8% assist percentage in those regular season games with Dinwiddie. But, in the postseason, both of those numbers have really come down.
SGE said, don't hurt him, Laffy. You talk about my dog? Well, her, but are you kidding me, man? I've told Adam this a million times. It's far more difficult for me to watch any animal get hurt than any human. And I know that sounds kind of messed up, but it's just true.
No, I mean, I'm the same way, and you seek out people getting hurt on the internet more than I do. Well,
I don't know. It kind of just finds me, but no, animal cruelty. That's like, I'm a pretty easygoing person. That's why
I can't watch like animal cruelty videos. I'll spend some time on YouTube looking up NBA players' leg snapping and stuff. But can't
fast forward through certain parts of movies or shows if like a dog is dying or something.
Oh yeah,
even though it's fake. This was crazy. I go outside to mow the lawn yesterday, and these little tiny bunnies had like burrowed in a little bit, and I'm picking up the dog shit first before I mow. And thank God I saw them, because I never would have seen them. All I could think about was the fact that if I just went out there and started mowing the lawn, not only would I shit on the bottom of my shoes, but I would have gone straight over these things, and it would have been a bloody mess.
What'd you say they were?
Little bunnies. Like,
oh yeah, I've gotten them with the lawnmower before.
What's that?
I've gotten them with the lawnmower before.
Yeah, it's sad. You don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to look down at my legs because I was wearing shorts and just see fur and guts. I don't want that, So now I didn't mow the lawn. I just left them there. What am I supposed to do? Justine's looking it up. Like, don't touch them. The mom will look for them for a week straight and not find them. I'm not doing that. So looks like I'm going to be the scumbag on the block for a couple of days until they relocate themselves. But how else do you want to approach Dallas before we move on to Miami, Philly?
So I mean, we kind of, touched on it with Dinwiddie and Bullock. Kleba's likely to give you 25, 26 minutes. He's 4,400. Again, he's not great by any stretch, but he is cheap, and it's more so just about what the savings allow you to get into your lineup. So I think you can look there for some value as well. Dorian Finney-Smith is one of my preferred mid-range options at 5,500. I think it's likely he gives you 38 to 40 minutes. He's a little bit better point per minute guy than Reggie Bullock. So at a similar price point, I do like Finney-Smith a bit more. And then Jalen Brunson at 6,400. I do like that the price tag's dropped on him. He's been in a little bit of foul trouble in each of the first 2 games, both times, I believe, in the second quarter. If he's able to avoid foul trouble here, I think you're getting 34 to 36 minutes from Brunson. And his usage rate has been up in the postseason, even in the games where Doncic has played. In those 5 games, he has a 27.7% usage rate. He's averaged 34 minutes per game. So behind Luka, I think Brunson and Finney-Smith are my top 2 guys from Dallas, other than Luka. And then it's kind of just, Dinwiddie, Bullock, Kleba as like last guy in type pieces.
Who's better to, okay, I'm Real Forever had a question, not DFS related, obviously, but it was a super chat. He said, who's better to have right now for Dallas, Dinwiddie or Porzingis? In this matchup, Porzingis. I don't know about in every matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough because like we know the Porzingis thing didn't really work out in Dallas for one reason or another.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he didn't want to be there. And it didn't seem like Luka wanted him there either.
I think that at least so far, that's been one of the like rare trades where I think both teams are very happy with what they got.
Yeah, I could see that. Sure. All right. Hey, hit that thumbs up. We're 49 away from 300. So let's make that happen. If you haven't done so yet, atone for those sins. Let's get us there. You ready to talk Miami and Philly?
Yeah.
All right. Just make sure we don't have any other news. Oh, okay. Shocking. Everybody's playing
Right.
for Miami, but we did get we do expect Kyle Lowry. So this is good. We made the right decision for sure. We expect Kyle Lowry to play. We can hit on both angles, but we have to assume that Embiid's going to play, right?
That's my assumption.
Okay. And he is, like I said earlier, for those of you guys that joined late, our ownership projections are free today for NBA. So hop in there and let's make it happen if you want to follow along. Before we do, though, Awesemo Hall of Fame. I get DMs all the time where people are like, "Why you haven't done the Hall of Fame in a while?" I know. We have been lately, though, so let's do this. We'll run through them. Shout out to everyone getting inducted today. And if you want to be up here during our biggest show every day, go to awesemo.com/avatar. Download the avatar. Use it wherever you want. DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, wherever it is. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. And tweet us at Awesemo, HOF, Awesemo Hall of Fame. And you'll also, not only will you get inducted to the Awesemo Hall of Fame, you get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. It's a $90 value. And I will say, even if you don't qualify, but you're happy about a win, hit us up anyway. Maybe we'll get you up here. And last thing, it doesn't matter if it's the quarter arcade, the nickel, the dime. As long as it's top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, you got it. You got the free month and you're up no matter what. Barry Watts finally found a fun way to watch baseball. Thanks, boys. Nice. Yeah, this was a good one. First place, 3,800 in the 50K four-seamer. Congrats, Barry. That's a solid win. Michael Clement, thanks for the great tools. Best in the business. Thanks to Awesemo, Terry, and Neil. $10,000 in the 40K Wednesday MLB squeeze. All right, we got some good ones rolling in this week. Jerry, I lost him. There's Jerry. I think I got the wrong logo, but no worries. I'll be back with the right one soon. Nah, looks good to me, man. Looks good to me. Man up, son is his name. $2,000. Congrats. Big win. First place. 20K mini max. That one's tough as hell to take down. Rosso, if you know me, you know I've been hustling at the DFS-ish for a good minute. Last night I pulled off a 10X, placing 6 in a couple more spots. Thanks, gang. Good stuff, man. $20 entry, $635 and 100K 4-point play. And then John Church turned 3 into 100. Thanks for the great content. Congrats, John. Finally, Jim Lipinski got my first takedown. Thank you for the content. First place in the Super Cuts Fantasy Series. Congrats all. Welcome. You've now been formally inducted, and welcome back if you've been here before. Awesemo.com/avatar. All right. Let's talk about the Miami Heat. Your thoughts now that Kyle Lowry is expected to play. How does it affect the rest of this team where their salaries are at now?
Yeah, so I mean, it takes some of those potential value options away because salaries have adjusted at least somewhat for Lowry being out. So when you look at, a $5,100 Gabe Vincent, I don't know how you possibly get there with Lowry in. Whereas, if Lowry hadn't missed those games, you'd have Gabe Vincent at like 4K or something, and you could say, maybe he'll get there. So 5,100 is pretty tough. Same with Oladipo at 4,800. It's just difficult to find those minutes now with Lowry in. It's more likely that you're getting 16, 17 minutes from Oladipo as opposed to 26 to 28. And at 4,800, that's a pretty tough sell. Caleb Martin doesn't need to play nearly as much at 3,500. So it kind of takes all those guys away, and it leaves you with basically just the starters plus Tyler Hero. So I think that Butler looks good at 9,300. Josh and I had kind of disagreed on him this morning when we were assuming that Joel Embiid was going to be out. He liked Harden quite a bit more than Butler. I thought they were a lot closer. But Butler's seen a nice uptick in usage rate in the postseason. That's not really surprising. You typically see guys like Butler take over a little bit. The assist percentage is high as well. I do expect that to come down a little bit with Lowry back, but I still think you're going to see a lot of minutes from Butler. I think you're going to see increased usage. 9,300 still looks pretty decent for him, I think. Bam at 8,100 I think is fine as well. His rates are down a little bit in the postseason. I think that partially can be attributed to the fact that he was playing banged up, but also it can probably be attributed to the fact that Jimmy Butler is doing more offensively as well, and so you're not getting quite as much usage from Bam. If Embiid is out, the matchup is certainly better for Bam. But either way, I think that Bam looks good at 8,100. I do think I slightly prefer DeAndre Ayton for 500 less. But then beyond those two guys, Hero, Lowry, Strus, Tucker, they're all, I think, priced about where they should be, if not a little bit overpriced. They certainly still have a path to success, and it's a 2-game slate. So if you get to them here and there, that's fine. But from Miami, I think Butler and Bam are pretty clearly to me the top two guys. And then there's a drop off to Hero, Lowry, Strus, Tucker, and then an even bigger drop off to everybody else.
You're a vegan,
No.
but you try to be a vegan?
Yeah, but I'm not good at it.
Interesting. Okay. What type of vegan meals are you
Well, and actually, to be fair, like
chowing down on? Because I know you're going to say sushi or something.
No, the vegan part is tough because like I don't pay a ton of attention to like what goes into meals. Vegetarian, I can normally if I'm like sober, I'm eating vegetarian stuff, or at least pescatarian stuff. Like I'll eat fish, but
okay. So what would you have for breakfast and lunch and dinner on a sober day?
Cereal. So again, like not vegan, but cereal, salad, meal deliveries that are vegetarian.
Okay. No chicken in that salad?
No.
All right.
Not usually.
I didn't know.
Usually if I'm eating meat, it's because I'm either hungover or I'm actively drinking.
So you just throw it out the window.
Yeah, I have no self-control.
And since you're drinking nightly, you're not a vegetarian at all. I'm just kidding.
Well, normally I eat before I go out, so.
Oh, right, to prevent that.
Yeah.
And I'm just kidding about the every night thing. But with Miami, outside of Bam and Butler, and I guess the only other question I have, because you just broke it down pretty succinctly, is there any value here anymore whatsoever now that Lowry's expected back?
Yeah, definitely was not a vegetarian in Vegas. What was your question?
Oh, I had a great joke, but I can't use it.
I think I probably thought the same thing.
I had something so good lined up, man. It would have had something to do with being a pescatarian, but besides the point. Anyway, is there any good value left in Miami, or is that just out the window, like with Tucker? And I know you kind of talked about it, but is there any good value left?
It's pretty tough. I mean, Tucker at 4,500, I guess, would be like the cheapest guy that I anticipate getting to from Miami. I have a hard time getting to Oladipo or Vincent or Martin, but I think mostly this is just a team where you see it a lot during the regular season when guys are out and prices adjust and then they come back. I think most of the value from Miami is gone here, as far as at least cheap guys.
Okay. Well, we got the Phillies side of this game, and hey, stick around after this show. Don't go anywhere, because you got Live Before Lock coming up immediately after us. That means Greg and Eric are taking you not just up to lock, but to 7:30. Going to sweat some stuff with you and talk some bets over on Odd Shopper. Have some fun. Okay. And I thought that was news, but it wasn't. All right. Let's talk about the Philly side with Joel Embiid now. And by the way, thank you. Over 300 likes. Appreciate you guys. Believe it or not, it does help us a ton. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask. When you have Joel Embiid and Eric, you have Doc Rivers insinuating or actually outright saying that he wouldn't play his full minutes if he plays. What would you put the odds that Joel Embiid plays his full minutes? So does Joel Embiid play regular minutes would be the prop? What would you put the odds at?
Are we saying regular minutes like 42 or 36?
No, like anywhere between 36 to 40. You know what I mean? Anywhere in that window of his normal range of minutes.
I'll be projecting him for 36 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So even money, I guess.
I don't really see why you'd play him otherwise, but we'll see. At this rate, if you have him for 36 minutes, the obvious follow-up question to that is, do you want to play any Joel Embiid today?
Yeah, I mean, ownership certainly is going to play a big role here. I think paying attention to the ownership between Embiid and Luka specifically, because they are pretty clearly the top two pay-up options, or the only two pay-up options, but the top two guys in terms of projection by a pretty wide margin. Like we have, Alex has Luka projected 11 points higher than Embiid, who's then projected 11 points higher than James Harden. Those are the top three projected guys for Alex right now. So it kind of just, reiterates that. Oh, and he actually took 2 minutes away. So now Luka's 14 points higher than Embiid, or 13 points higher than Embiid. Embiid's 8 points higher than Harden. So it kind of just, reiterates that you're getting a huge bump in raw points going to one of those guys. Luka, I think, is still clearly the better play. I mean, it's still a difficult matchup for Embiid against Miami. He is playing with a torn thumb. He is playing with a broken face. I mean, you can't completely ignore those. I don't know how to quantify it. I don't have any sort of data on how guys with broken eyes typically play in the NBA, but I got to imagine that it has some sort of negative impact. But at the same time, it's a 2-game slate. And if like everybody's aware that the matchup is difficult and all of that. So, right now we have Embiid at 34% projected ownership. We have Luka at 43. If that holds, I'm going to end up playing more Luka. But if you get, if you get a drop in ownership on Embiid combined with an increase in ownership on Luka, then I think Embiid starts to be a little bit more interesting.
I know there's a pretty big pricing gap, but I just like Luka so much more than Embiid today.
And I don't know that it's really that big of a pricing gap. Just when you consider like what the alternatives are on the slate. Like, I don't know that 1,400 out. Like I think once you're getting to Embiid, you're probably building a similar lineup, maybe a player different than Luka. Like, I don't think it ends up being that drastic.
On FanDuel, they're $1,000 separated, and Luka's only pulling 3% more ownership than Embiid. And Embiid has power forward eligibility, which is just hilarious.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Like, Ayton has only center, but Embiid has power forward. Like, I get some of them, sure. You just toss it. But if there's one guy that should never have power forward eligibility, it's Joel Embiid. Whatever. James Harden has predictably been bad in this series. It's an awful matchup for him. Like, this is such a bad spot for James Harden. Maybe Embiid opens things up a little bit, opens up some passing lanes as well, and some driving lanes. But dude, it's at this point, it's almost like it can't hurt to have Joel Embiid back. I'm not even kidding. Like, I think it might actually help Harden to get Embiid back.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's just so difficult for Harden without Embiid. And so in the 2 games that he's played without Embiid this postseason, he's at 0.93 DraftKings points per minute, 25% usage rate, 30% assist percentage. 6 games with Embiid, 1.11 DraftKings points per minute, 23.5% usage rate, 38.5% assist percentage. Obviously, those first 6 games were Toronto, and then the last 2 were Miami. So that, accounts for some of the drop off too. But I agree, like, it can certainly open up a little bit more. I think that with or without Embiid, Harden looks fine at 9K. I do just have some concerns because Miami has done such a good job of, basically keeping the ball, not letting Harden beat them, make Tyrese Maxey beat you, make Tobias Harris beat you. And so I do think he's a little bit underpriced for what's likely to be 38 to 40 minutes. But I don't think that you can ignore that, the rates are down even without Embiid. And this is just a really difficult matchup against Philly. Against Miami, rather.
Yeah, it's a very difficult matchup against Miami. But at this point, like I was saying, there's no real downside to Embiid coming back for James Harden, because he's not just going to flick the switch in game 3 because they're playing at home. I'm not even convinced home court advantage helps them. I mean, these guys were so scared about losing game 6 to Toronto and having to go back and play in front of the Philly faithful that they came out and beat them by 35. They actually said, do you know they said that after the game? They're like, we just didn't want to go back to Philly.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, Tobias and Harden, they're like, we were not going back to Philly. So, and you remember Ben Simmons when they asked him why they play so well in Philly, and this aged well, but he's like, yeah, because we're scared of the fans. He wasn't lying,
right?
He was not lying. But
he is having back surgery. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's interesting timing. I mean, I guess I don't know.
It just confused me because I basically had decided that he just was committed to not playing this season for non-actual injury reasons, but I don't think he's faking back surgery.
I feel like he's the type of guy that might. Like he just gets some acupuncture done,
right?
And you get the tweet like Ben Simmons' surgery was successful. I don't know. Obviously, I've said this the whole time. I don't know what's going on in his body or his head or whatnot, but what you even agreed with me on this. The strange part was he's like, yeah, I'm good to go. And then game day, he wakes up or the day before the game, maybe, and he goes, yeah, I don't know. Back kind of hurts a little bit still. Right. It was just very odd timing. Very odd. So whatever. I wish him well. Philly outside of Embiid and Harden, you get to Maxey, you get to Harris. Maxey had a great game last time out. Just the rest of the team decided that they weren't interested in playing basketball. He played 43 minutes. Tobias Harris has been, without Joel Embiid, pretty good himself. But now you get to a point where Joel Embiid back in the mix. How do these prices how do these prices look, assuming that Joel Embiid is active? And we don't know. He's still a game time decision, but for now we have to project him in.
It makes it really, really difficult, I think, to get to those guys if Embiid is in. If he's out, I like them because I think that you once again see Miami look to make them beat them instead of Harden. In the 2 games in this series without Embiid, 25.5% usage rate for Harris, 27% for Maxey. I would, and they're going to play a lot of minutes. So if Embiid were out, I would like them. But the issue is that in the 6 games this postseason where Embiid's been in, Harris has an 18.2% usage rate. Maxey's at 20.9%. And these guys are just priced at this point for that increased production. So it makes it really difficult to want to get to much of them.
Byron Underwood just had the comment of the day. He said they inserted a backbone because he didn't have one. That's good. Spine would have flowed a little better, but that was very, very solid. And Adam, we have about 8 minutes to go, so I'll read this comment. Why not? Caleb says, I truly believe everyone should do a large dose of mushrooms, at least psilocybin mushrooms, of course, at least once in your life. Now, have you or would you do that? Like, would you go camping?
I haven't. I think that I could be convinced in like the right situation.
Okay. Meaning like someone just shows up and says, hey, I have mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've had literally some of the worst experiences of my life. Maybe I've been
with friends when they do them, but I've never done them.
What?
I've been with friends when they do them, but I've never done them.
Okay. The one good experience I had was I was watching the Chappelle Show in my buddy's basement. And for a period there, I thought I was in the audience, in the attendance. And I'm like standing up and clapping at the performance at the end of the show, like legit for a second thought I was, but point being, you should do it and film it.
Yeah, I'm good.
No? All right.
No.
One day we'll tell some stories. We'll have some fun, but not, with 7 minutes left in the deeper dive. The Philadelphia 76ers, if Embiid doesn't play, I'm going to throw this to you because we have to cover all our bases. If he doesn't play, do you go back to Paul Reed? Do you go back to a DeAndre Jordan?
Probably not in like single entry. Reed did get 25 minutes last game. He really struggled from a fantasy standpoint, but those minutes being there, even if you assume he's going to produce at a lower rate against Miami in the postseason than he does during the regular season, if you tell me he's playing 24, 25 minutes at 4,900, I have no issue getting there. But the problem is that I think that's, the upper end of his playing time, and that, he's going to foul frequently enough that you still have those, 14, 15, 16 minute games mixed in. So he'd be a risky play that you could go to in tournaments. Jordan, I just don't think is playing more than like 13, 14 minutes. So it makes it pretty difficult to want to get there regardless.
All right. Anybody else for Philly worth discussing here? Danny Green. I know it's not an exciting team, especially with Embiid back, but Danny Green, anyone else we haven't gotten to?
Danny Green's getting 29% ownership right now on DraftKings. He's just another guy where he's 4,100. You're not playing him because you want to roster Danny Green. You're just playing him because you have to put X number of guys into your lineup, and he's cheap enough to let you get the other guys. So I'm sure I'll land on some Green just because he fits in the lineups. It's basically Philadelphia's version of Maxi Kleba. As far as the rest of these guys, I have a hard time really pegging down this rotation. Niang fouled out in 10 minutes last game. Korkmaz basically replaced Shake Milton in the rotation. You could certainly see either of those guys at cheap price tags get there, occasionally, but certainly not high priority guys. Same goes for Matisse Thybulle at 3,300.
All right. So coming up next, you have Eric, you have Greg taking you up till 7:30. All right. And you got the post-game show, of course. So hang out with them. They will get the Embiid news. Obviously, that's a 7:00 game. Then you got the 9:30 game. So we're at a point now where we're nearing the end. NBA ownership projections free, MLB player rankings free, NHL player rankings free, and MMA, so UFC pro plays, are also free, all of that. And I did want to let you guys know one more time for anyone that didn't hear it earlier, because it is such an insane promo. You go to awesemo.com/promos. Tyler, throw that on the screen, please. Use the promo or just click Luca. You'll see it. 7 days for $7. It's $1 a day, every tool for every single sport on the site. We never run promos like this. You got to be a first-time user, obviously, but it's a no-brainer, especially if you've been someone that has been interested in checking out the tools and seeing everything we have to offer over there. So Luca, check that out. Be sure to do so. $7 for 7 days. It's $1 a day. All right. Tyler, any other news? No, I guess that's it. All right, let's get out of here. We'll turn it over to our boys, Greg and Eric. Appreciate you guys hanging out as always. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Derby. Oh, last thing. Check Ben's Derby video out. It's sick. It's really good. All of his top picks. He even did a sports betting primer video before that on the Odds Shopper YouTube channel. You see how it's spelled, ODDSSHOPPER. If you're getting in on the Derby, if you're betting it, follow and tail Ben, and we'll have some fun if you don't know what you're doing like me. All right, we'll see you guys back here. Adam is found at Ship My Money DFS, me at Lafayette_D. You doing anything fun tonight other than watching sports or playing DFS?
No, probably just hanging out, watching, catching up on Ozark.
All right, and eating some celery.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys back here. Shout out to Tyler Zander for producing the show. Stick around. LBL next, presented by Odds Shopper. Peace.
one was by far the least profitable. I mean, it still made $250 million, but
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the NBA Live Before Lock Show presented by Odd Shopper. I'm Eric Lindquist. Happy weekend. We have made it. We have arrived 6 o'clock out there on the East Coast. Hit that clock. Get out of there. Let's talk some NBA DFS. Looking forward to it. Smash that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, because we might have some fun stuff coming up later in the program. My friend Greg Ehrenberg over there, go follow him at Ehrenberg DFS on the Twitters. We made a little wager this morning, and I think I got the better of you, which is not something that not many bettors can say. I might have the better of Greg Ehrenberg. Why don't you tell the people what we bet on?
Yeah, so before our baseball show started this morning, you and I were discussing whether Joel Embiid would play or not. I did not think he was going to. You thought he was going to. And this was before we had any kind of updates on him. And then we made a bet, unspecified bet, that we're like, we'll talk about it during the show. And then what happened is while we're doing it, news came out first from Chris Haynes, bad report, throwing that in the garbage about how Joel Embiid wouldn't play today. And then we had Shams report that he'd cleared concussion protocol and that they were optimistic he was going to play today. So it appears that we're going to get Joel Embiid playing today. We don't know for sure yet. He's officially listed as questionable, but the deal we've made is if I win, you have to wear a Zoom filter of my choice for the last 30 minutes of the show, and then vice versa if Joel Embiid ends up playing today. So it appears that you're going to get the better of this. We're going to get the Joel Embiid news presumably within the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to get Glenn Rivers make a statement and tell us where everything stands. And then for the 30-minute post-lock show, I'll be wearing a Zoom filter of your choice.
I think that's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. We're going to find out. King Reed, who cares? Who cares about y'all bet? Has no impact on the game. Shut up. You're here to watch us. You didn't tune in for just some random peoples. Maybe you don't want us. Maybe you want Josh. Maybe you want somebody else. But you know what? You got Greg. You got me. And we're going to talk about whatever we damn well please for the next 57 minutes. Actually, that's a lie. 87 minutes. Because you know what? King Reed, you can hang out with us the entire time. We would love that. We'd especially love it if you hit that like button. Maybe we can get in your good graces here as we talk about this game, which I don't know. We have 2 games. We have 57 minutes until lock. I think we'll be okay. Let's just start it this way, Greg. I am under the assumption that Joel Embiid is playing. I am also under the assumption that Joel Embiid is going to play a lot in this game. Are you on board with that?
So at least the most recent quote we got from Glenn Rivers is that Joel Embiid is not in shape because he wasn't able to run when he was dealing with concussion symptoms, that he's going to play limited minutes. I don't buy into that either. So I am projecting Embiid for 36 minutes. I have to think there's a good chance that he's going to be a little bit less effective than we typically see. But I still think that he's a fine option for this. Like, I don't buy into that he's going to be limited to any kind of extreme extent. And then the only thing that I think matters in terms of is I probably would have liked Luka more than Embiid anyway. And now with the news that he might be limited, it just gives me a little bit more confidence that Luka over Embiid.
T. McBee with an absolute GOAT quote, by the way. The Wedding Singer. That's a top 3 Adam Sandler movie. Would you agree with that or no?
Like
top 5,
3 Adam Sandler comedy, but not top 3 Adam Sandler movie overall.
Oh, so that's actually a very interesting question. What's the drama that you vault into the top 5?
I like Click a lot.
You like Click a lot? That's a comedy.
No, it's not. That's a drama.
It's just pure drama. It has it's about a remote
lot of
control.
movies have
It's
elements of different stuff.
That
So
is
here,
a comedy.
Click.
Christopher Walken.
Tyler also gave an
dramatic
immediate head nod as if how did you not know that this movie about a remote is a hardcore drama? It's like a family roundabout comedy.
All right. So what do you think it is labeled as on Rotten Tomatoes?
I would assume like a family comedy.
It is labeled as a romance movie. I don't
romance
really agree with
movie,
that either. But either way,
weird.
I wouldn't call it a comedy.
Okay. Punch Drunk Love is the only top 5 that I would possibly put in there. I will say Rain on Me, better than I expected it to be. Rain on Me, better than I expected it to be. I expected sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. And Tyler wasn't there for it. I tried Tyler. Tried to early on do it. Maybe you'll get another chance here later on. We'll see.
I'm upset
Maybe I'll give
because
you that
Uncut
opportunity,
Gems
but,
hasn't been
Billy Madison
mentioned.
definitely is in there. Anger Management. I think 50 First Dates is a top 5 too, but I bet King Reed is really upset now, so we should maybe talk some basketball, position by position, like we always.
I think
do
this
on
is impact
show.
on the slate. I think we should talk about. We should break down the fantasy aspects of Waterboy and what happens if he could play in the championship game or not.
What do you have? Men are supposed to have stinky feet. Well, did you know they're also supposed to have underwear? By the man of Deputy Dan. I think Deputy Dan's very, very sexy.
By the way, people want Tyler to be able to speak. We're not preventing Tyler from speaking.
No,
Tyler, are we preventing
don't
you from
think you'll-
speaking?
No.
I don't think they can hear me.
Oh, his
right now,
mic isn't
chat.
working.
I think
That's the
something.
issue.
Mic's not working.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
try to-
This
I'll
isn't
try
our
to
fault. The
figure out
mic
what's
isn't
happening.
working.
You're the devil,
Can y'all hear now?
Bobby Boucher.
No, yeah, still can't. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll work
Tyler's
on the
mic
chat.
still isn't working.
Nope, not helpful. It's not
Yeah.
helpful. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. Water sucks. To the guard
We
position.
would like to include Tyler in this right now. The issue is just that his mic isn't. Oh, wait,
So the people in chat are hearing him. He's muted on our end because I didn't
that's
hear
weird.
the intro music either.
Oh, okay. So that's the
okay,
issue.
So something.
This is an
so-
ultra fuck up on Tyler's
Yeah,
spot.
something's happening.
Cool.
Now they can hear me and y'all can hear me, so it's all good. I was saying Uncut Gems should have been mentioned. It's kind of
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
And then I was doing my bad Christopher Walken impression, saying he only does dramas. But that's all you know.
Christopher Campbell. That's exactly the way I feel about Click. Adam Sandler had a remote. I don't know what the hell was going on. I think that's the perfect synopsis of my impression of Click.
I don't know. I like the movie. I haven't seen it for a minute, but I liked it when I watched it. But my favorite Adam Sandler movies, it's going to be influenced by my childhood for sure.
Yes.
But it's Happy Gilmore, Waterboy, and probably Billy Madison. I'd say that's my top.
Billy
three.
Madison. Spanish Armada, 1943, 1744, 1604. God, just give me the answer. So good. It's the best.
They've got
I
somebody
also
in
know the
chat.
entire song that the clown sings during that song or during that movie. It's absurd.
By the way, I can only imagine how confusing it was for the chat with Tyler saying stuff and us just seemingly completely ignoring anything he had to say about any of this. Which I
was just
assumed-
talking over him, apparently, is what it said. But
yeah,
whatever.
Which Tyler's fault, not our fault. But it's, you know what? You know whose fault it really is? It was Jordan Klein's fault.
oh, Big Daddy love. There's definitely Big Daddy love. Hop Anonymous.
Keep up Anonymous?
Damn, he gets all the easy ones. Would you American prefer spaghetti and meatball? What is it? Lamb and tuna fish? That was the combo. Anyway, to the guard spot we go. Holy
Well,
shit.
first, I want to ask
This
you
is
about
the most
Joe.
Lofty-esque intro to a show I've ever been a part of.
I want to ask you about the Joel Embiid thing, though, before we go
Yes.
further. Like, what is your expectation, assuming he plays? What is your expectation for playing time?
35 minutes.
Okay. So, I mean, that's relative to playoff expectations. It's kind of restricted.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's a range of outcome where you could play
Yeah.
40, could play
Yeah, I agree.
42. There's also 32 in the event of foul trouble. This is also a tough matchup. There's things that can happen during the course of a game. Embiid is pretty important to this basketball team in a ridiculous fashion. I mean, they're going to have him play as many possible minutes as they possibly can. I'm just putting 35, 36 in as the baseline. We have him for 36.28 is the exact number here at Awesemo.com. So take that for what you will. There you go. A little bit of a freebie for you. And we have NBA main slate ownership projections. Those are free to you today. So I might as well just give you the goods as we're talking through it. But on the top end of guard, there's, of course, one guy, Luka Doncic, I think on FanDuel. Seems like we've just constantly said that. You play him all the time, but now he's 11-5. You have to at least think about it, but it seems like the field's not. He's in 59% of lineups over there. Point guard and shooting guard eligibility. On DK, 11-6. That's different than a guy like Joel Embiid at 10-4 that I am going to be prioritizing once we get news that he is in and you have to wear some silly filter. Who do you prefer on the top end, Joel Embiid or Luka Doncic?
Yeah, it's Luka for me. And it would have been Luka even if we didn't have the injury concerns with Embiid, but we do have the injury concerns with Embiid. And Luka's been ridiculously good during the postseason. He only played 36 minutes last game, but it was because the Dallas Mavericks lost that game by 20. I think we have to consider that this game should be competitive. The Suns are only 1 point favorite. Same with the other game. Philly favored by 1 point. Both these games should be close. So I don't really have any minutes concern in terms of blowout risk when it comes to Luka Doncic. And then we look at Joel Embiid on the other side, because I think when we talk about one, we have to talk about the other. They have to be compared. Luka also is, I think that the we're debating how many minutes Embiid will actually play, if Rivers is lying to us about any kind of restriction. At the very least, I don't think Joel Embiid has the upside to play the 44 minutes that Luka Doncic does.
All right, that's fair. I have a lot of both of them. That's probably the right answer. That's the answer. That's the answer I was looking for. Wrong. You are wrong, sir. Everybody in this room is now dumber having heard you say it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
That could be. I mean, that's certainly what's going to look like when I talk with a filter on my face in the in the second part of the show. Oh, you know what else we should talk about on the Joel Embiid thing? We can, without a doubt, and I hope everybody agrees with us, everybody fading Paul Reed now. No, we don't even have to consider it. Oh my
God, doesn't it feel good to know that we don't have to talk about him? Somebody will defend his 2% ownership today.
No, you know why? Because I liked last game when when you and I both faded Paul Reed and he totally sucked. And everybody was like, oh my God, I can't believe Paul Reed doesn't score 7 fantasy points per minute anymore. So we don't have that as an option to us. But yeah, no more Paul Reed.
Jesse, if you're coming after me, just let me know. Just come on into the inbox. Let me know why I'm such a fish. I'm a fish because I didn't get my golf lineups in this week. That's the only reason that I'm a fish. I have literally the guy who's in first, second, fourth, and fifth, and then a guy who missed a cut and a guy who has a 0 who withdrew. So that's fun. That's my 6 golfers that I have in a 300 lineup train. Oopsie, Eric. Great work. Let's keep it on rolling here, shall we? This next tier of guard is pretty interesting, pretty fascinating, and I'm curious to get your take about a James Harden, who's going to be playing alongside Joel Embiid, is the assumption I have. Devin Booker, up slightly from 8,500, but now Chris Paul's 8,300, finally more appropriately priced alongside Devin Booker, and Tyrese Maxey at 7K. In this tier of guys from 7K to 9K, who is your favorite to get to, and who is your least favorite to get to?
All right, let's see. 7K to 9K at guard. All right, let me sort by exposure. 7K to 9K. So relative to ownership, the answer is going to be Devin Booker. You and I have been on Booker for a decent amount in this series. And, at least in game 1, relative to his salary and where he was out on the field, he ended up being really good. Last game, solid, but not spectacular, scoring 44 fantasy points at an 8,200 price tag. I think he's pretty safe to be somewhere in like that low to mid 40 fantasy point range. And the other thing too is, when it comes to Chris Paul, I just prefer Devin Booker to Chris Paul when Devin Booker is fully healthy. And the other thing too is if Joel Embiid is back and is going to be totally unrestricted, which once again, there are some kind of asterisks although we just got from Woj, Joel Embiid expected to play Friday, barring any unforeseen setbacks. So pretty much what we've been expecting, well, at least not what I was expecting this morning, but what I've been expecting since 15 minutes after you and I made that bet. Now that we have this news on Embiid, I just have to like Harden less.
Yeah, same. It's Devin Booker's season. I'm going to get to lots of him. I will say, I thought it was a pretty keen observation. Chris Paul, 36 minutes, back to doing Chris Paul things. I mean, 11 for 16 from the field helps when all you do is like get into the mid range and you just are knocking down everything. Feels like he never misses. He feels like the way, I can't remember who said it about DeMar DeRozan at the All-Star game. It was somebody, I think it might have been Luka actually, who said, you just never miss from 18 feet. That's the way that I feel about Chris Paul from like 10 to 15 feet. The guy seems to make absolutely every shot he takes. 14 for 14, that last closeout game against New Orleans seems efficient. Might get to a little bit more of him today. Now that price has adjusted back down to 8,300 on DraftKings, that's where I'm playing most of my exposure here for NBA today. He was 9,300 for that closeout game alongside Booker. Nice to be getting some of the savings there. I don't know how I land on any Tyrese Maxey, although I feel as though at 7K, he's kind of in a no man's land at guard. Like Tyler Hero is going to play, but I don't really have a ton of interest going to him at all either. Jalen Brunson, 64, is okay to land on some shares of, but I mean, what are you doing with Tyrese Maxey? He feels kind of like a strong write-off for me.
Yeah, so if you're playing 1, 3, 20 lineups, I wouldn't have Tyrese Maxey in there. He's worth a few shares if you're playing 150 lineups or max entering. Beyond that, though, I agree with you. I don't think there's that much utility for him on DraftKings at 7,000, just because you're paying a peak price for him. And, we've got Joel Embiid coming back now. On FanDuel also, he's 7,200. It's just more than I want to pay for Tyrese Maxey. for most of the regular season, he was priced like in the low to mid 6K range. And now he's gotten a big price hike during the playoffs, which to an extent makes sense because he's playing extra minutes. But the main reason that his price has gone up lately is because Joel Embiid's been out and there's been extra usage to go around. So I'm with you. I think he's overpriced. There's other guys to get to. And then also I'm going to agree with you on Chris Paul in terms of I like him less than Devin Booker, but I haven't played Chris Paul at all in the first couple of games of the series. And now that his price has gone down to a more reasonable number, he's at least playable to me now where he wasn't in the first couple of games.
Let's talk value now. We got Jalen Brunson. While everybody hits the like button, of course. Yes, call it amateur night if you want here at Awesemo.com. We're having fun. This is fun. This is an enjoyable time. We're talking 2 games of NBA. We got the news we were waiting for. I'm planning my filter that I need for Greg here. I'm going through them. This is good times. But Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson, I think just looking at those two, they're going to be very popular at the guard position. 33.3% for Brunson. For Dinwiddie, he's up to what? It's a ridiculous number, 38.3%. Which one of those two do you prefer? And are you going to get close to the field on either of them?
So Dinwiddie
and Brunson.
So between Dinwiddie and Brunson, I am currently, all right. So my build, I'm underweight to Dinwiddie. I'm underweight to Brunson. Dinwiddie also underweight too, but just because he's so popular. So if I had to choose between the two of them, I would pick Dinwiddie just because of the price point, but I don't think either of them are especially strong DK plays. Dinwiddie mostly because the minutes appear to be somewhat on the decline relative to what we saw from him last series. He played 28 last game. And this is also there's been a lot of foul trouble for the Dallas Mavericks, and that's led to them having to play Dinwiddie in some of these spots. Dinwiddie's been totally shit in the playoffs. He has been miserable. So there was a couple games where his fantasy output looked good. So I think it kind of made people think that like, oh, look, Dinwiddie's playing well. He's really picking up the slack for the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic out. Listen to his shooting efficiency numbers in those games without Luka. Game 1 against Utah, he went 6 of 15 from the field. Game 2 without Luka, he went 6 of 18 from the field. And then game 3 without Luka, he went 6 of 21. So for fantasy purposes, we were cool with it because he was producing fantasy points by shooting all this much. But he was not good from just an efficiency standpoint. Last game, 3 of 10 from the field. The game before, 3 of 8. He had one good game against Utah, went 7 of 12. And the games before that, 3 of 8 and 2 of 9. He cannot make any shots during the playoffs. And I think that's ultimately just going to lead to less playing time for him, assuming we finally get a spot where the Mavericks are able to avoid foul trouble.
So let's round it out here then. I'm with you. I think being a little bit lower on both on DK makes some sense. Looking at the FanDuel slate, I mean, it's kind of inevitable that I'm going to play a lot of Luka. Chris Paul's still 97 over there. Tyrese Maxey, I have a little bit of there as opposed to on DK. Jalen Brunson, 6,200. I think that he makes a lot of sense. But then Kyle Lowry is kind of a wild card, I think, for this slate. How do you feel about his minutes for Miami in this spot after being out here for quite some time? And is he going to be viable for you on this slate today?
So because of where the Heat are in this series up 2-0, I don't think there's a need to push Kyle Lowry to play a whole bunch of minutes. But with that said, he's very, very low owned. We currently have him projected for 14% ownership on DraftKings, and on FanDuel, he is projected for just under 20%. So at that ownership, I think he's a good contrarian play. But once again, if you're somebody who's playing 1, 3, 10 lineups or whatever, I wouldn't consider him. For large field, I think he's worth a dart throw at low ownership because it's hard to differentiate on a 2-game slate. And there is upside in Kyle Lowry, but there's a really wide range of outcomes with the minutes. And I don't feel good projecting him to play well north of 30.
Yeah. Born and raised Philadelphia, for what it's worth. Born and raised Philadelphia. Villanova as well. Good times. Kyle Lowry.
Do you know his backstory?
I don't. I just know he was born and raised in Philly.
Yeah, and then he got into a fight on the playground one day, and he had to go move with his rich uncle out west, and that was when he. Yeah, that's when
like literally Fresh Prince.
I just said that. I didn't know that you would realize that I was just talking about Fresh Prince and not Kyle Lowry.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Promo code Luka, everybody. I don't give a shit. Shut up, Tyler. Ad read. Here we go. Get $7 of Awesemo Plus right now for just 7 days, 77% off our usual weekly price using promo code Luka, Luka, That gets you everything behind the paywall that we offer at Awesemo, not just for NBA, not just for MLB, but for F1, for USFL, for tennis, for all these niche sports. Take advantage. Check them all out. NBA's winding down. Yes, it's sad times. We have only a couple more rounds of the playoffs, but you know what? We'll endure everything else that we offer here at Awesemo Plus Platinum. So start checking out some of that other data. See why it is that so many people are signing up for Awesemo Plus, why they want to take advantage of the monthly here. And you can just get this 1 week, 7 days for $7. Promo code Luca. Stop guessing, start winning, and join us at Awesemo Plus today. I'm sorry, Tyler. I just get so scared. It's scared of being a nobody. Come on over here. Happy yo kissy kiss, smooch a smooch.
How long did you figure out that I wasn't talking about Kyle Lowry?
I mean, it took one sentence, really. And then I just killed the joke because you're mean. I just assume you're being mean to me now.
I mean, that's not mean. I'm just talking about the backstory of Kyle Lowry.
Yo, Holmes, smell you later. Let's go. Anything else for you on the cheap end of guard that you want to talk about? Because I don't think Victor Oladipo needs to be talked about.
Nope.
Gabe Vincent is not remotely in play with Kyle Lowry back. Max Strus is up to 5,300 for God knows what reason. I mean, I have a pretty thin player pool this week this slate, as opposed to many of the other slates we've had here with Dallas, Phoenix, and Philly, Miami.
I think kind of by default, if you're playing a bunch, you have to get to campaign at some point. Once again, not because I project him for big production or a lot of minutes. I actually have campaign projected for just over 12 fantasy points. I have him at 12.2 fantasy points on DraftKings, and he still makes it into my lineups around 20% just because we need to find value somewhere. And there is nothing available that's anywhat interesting at the guard position. So by default, I think campaign warrants some exposure just because if the studs go off today, you're going to need the salary savings somewhere, and it does not exist.
Gordon Powell asks, so do you really think Oladipo is out of the player pool? Yes, I do. He's 4,800. It's not like I'm getting him at 3K.
I have him projected to play 12 minutes.
Yeah, it's just not even... That's what I'm saying. Him and Gabe Vincent with Kyle Lowry back are completely useless to me. If they were 3K, that'd be one thing. I don't blame DraftKings or FanDuel for them being priced up. Like, we've seen them be very productive in this spot. But now Kyle Lowry's back. He just dissolves any value that you might have had there. Campaign, I think, is a nice shout out. 3,500. I think by default, yeah, I'm going to have to get to some campaign because otherwise you're just heading to the forward spot and you're using them for your savings everywhere. And seems as though this is going to be something that's been a recurring theme for me. DFS, coming off a game with crazy foul trouble. Maxi Kleber, who I just said was going to play a lot more than Dwight Powell in this series based on what we saw at the tail end of the last series. Guess what's happened? Dwight Powell has not been able to stay on the floor. 16 and 13 minutes for him. Maxi Kleber is playing the 5. He is your center for Dallas a majority of the time, even up against Ayton. I feel like those are just two unavoidable pieces I need to play in a lot of lineups on DraftKings today. What say you about Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber? And if you want to put Reggie Bullock into the conversation, have at.
One thing, because I want to talk about Oladipo a little bit, just because some people were bringing it up in the chat, and we have the ability to talk a little bit more in depth about individual players, considering that it's a 2-game slate. We don't have that much going on right now. But do you remember how many minutes Victor Oladipo played in the first 3 games of the Hawks series when the team was healthy?
I'm going to say 0 just because of the way you phrased it.
Yes, he played a total of 0 minutes in the first 3 games. I might even be too generous projecting him to play 12.
Yeah, I don't have him in the rotation today. So he played well enough where I think he might get like a second quarter, beginning of the quarter rotation. You take Jimmy Butler off the floor for like 4 minutes. They're up 2-0. They control their destiny at home, no matter what happens here with Embiid or anything else. It's a 1-point spread. I mean, yeah, you want to win one of these games in Philly and go back home and close it out game 5. But like, I think Oladipo's played well enough with the ball in his hands, creating, doing some things when Jimmy Butler's been off the floor where he might get those 12 minutes. I don't think 12 is wrong. I just have him out of the rotation. I think I've probably made an egregious error in that regard, but it's just purely because he's 4,800 and I don't want to have any lineups with him.
Yeah. And also we had somebody in the chat, who was it? I don't even know who it was, but somebody said, why does last series matter when it comes to Victor Oladipo? Because that's when they were healthy.
Yeah. And also Jimmy Butler didn't play in game 5 and he was massive chalk. Yeah. Neither did Lowry. So we're talking about different situations. And I think this has been a week now. Greg and I have been talking about a new series, new situations. And we kind of said a lot of things. You have to hit the reset button. You needed D'Anthony Melton to win tournaments, or he at least gave you the best chance. He was like 1% on DK, a couple % on FanDuel. You didn't, I guess, need him, but like he put up 35 in game 1 because it was a completely different matchup and set of circumstances. This is a completely different set of circumstances, only the inverse of that, where there's less opportunity for any of these guys that we've been rostering before.
Yep, totally. What we look for in value is players being out, not players coming back to the rotation. Here's the issue now, is we have Kyle Lowry coming back to the Heat and Joel Embiid coming back to the Sixers, and it's only a 2-game slate. So points per dollar, this is going to be a low-scoring slate. It's hard to find a lot of good value.
Righty. Well, let's keep it on rolling here then. Back to the the previously mentioned question. I don't know how to properly say that. Whatever. Kleba, DFS, Reggie Bullock. How much are you getting to of those three where I think they're just kind of necessary evils on DraftKings?
Yeah. So, you and I have been on Bullock overweight to the field in a lot of games this series, and there are a lot of games throughout the playoffs. And it's not a situation with Reggie Bullock where you or I think, oh, this guy is the best fantasy producer in the world. I'm sorry if I'm talking to you, but you and I talk to each other a lot now, and I generally know that we're on the same page, at least when it comes to Reggie Bullock. There's going to be other stuff that I think we might have a disagreement on.
The contrarian take is that we're actually friends in real life, because I think everybody thinks we freaking hate each other. So there's that.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't ruin that. But that aside, so Reggie, when it comes to Reggie Bullock, we're both going to be projecting to play a lot of minutes because that's generally what he's done in the playoffs. Game 1 against the Suns, he got into foul trouble and he played 33. Last game, he played 37, but once again, that was only because of a blowout. He was the only offense Dallas had last game outside of Luka Doncic. And also, you and I, we had bets on Reggie Bullock over 8.5 points, which he hit fairly easy. He actually had 5 in the first quarter, scored 0 in the second quarter, and then scored none in the third quarter, and then had a stretch of like 2 minutes where he hit like 3 threes in a row, and that was the majority of his points. It's reasonable to project Reggie Bullock to play 44 minutes today. That is what I've gone ahead and done. It does not give him an outrageous fantasy projection, but if 5,400 makes him viable on a slate where there aren't that many good points per dollar plays, I think there's a pretty good floor with Bullock. So I think that, what happened?
I can't emphasize enough how bad of a play Victor Oladipo is. I'm shocked that everybody wants to defend Victor Oladipo today. And I'm hoping we have almost 2,000 people watching us right now. Do not play Victor Oladipo. Don't play him. Don't think about playing him. Remove him from your player pool and save your souls. There you are. There it is. Go ahead.
So I am not going to play Victor Oladipo today. If people want to play him, go ahead and play him. I don't think it's reasonable to think he plays 0 minutes today. I didn't project him for 0 minutes. Eric said he did. I don't think that's a crazy stance to take. But as it comes to Bullock, I just like the minutes upside. It's hard to find that in the playoffs. And same goes for Dorian Finney-Smith, because I know you grouped them together. Both of these guys, barring foul trouble, are going to play north of 40 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith got into immediate foul trouble last game. He had 3 personal fouls in the first quarter. He picked up 2. They left him in the game. He picked up a 3rd, didn't come back in the rest of the first half, got in foul trouble again in the second half, and just was not aggressive then, didn't get the minutes. For today, though, I do like getting to Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock quite a bit, and I think the minutes are very secure.
Yes, they are. I think you have to play a lot of them. Rank the 3 of them for yourself. For me, it goes Kleba 1, DFS 2, Reggie Bullock 3.
It is DFS 1, Bullock 2, and Maxey 3. So the issue with Maxey is I do think he's somewhat relying on foul trouble to get his minutes. He played 20. True. He played 28 last game, and that was with Dorian Finney-Smith getting into foul trouble. Game 1 of this series, he only played 25 minutes, and that was with Powell getting into foul trouble. So I just don't really know. The last 3 games in the series against Utah, he played 23, 20, and 18 minutes. I think there's a pretty good chance that if everybody avoids foul trouble, he only plays 22, which, once again, there aren't that many cheap plays to roster. So I still think that he's in play, but I feel much better about the playing time for DFS and Bullock.
I am just floored. I haven't been this floored by chat If you're going to play Oladipo, if you feel like you just have to and you can't avoid it, play him at 4,200 on FanDuel. But I will not have a single share on DK. And I'm surprised how many people just want to play him. And I try to be very respectful. I apologize if it seems like I'm, trolling, but I am trolling because he's a horrendous play.
It goes, that you're being trolled as well, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't care if I am or not. I just need people to know how emphatically I am against that play. Here is my favorite play from forward, though. I bet you can guess it.
I'm going to guess that you're going with Jay Crowder.
That's my guy.
How many? So here's the situation.
He finally shot the ball like remotely well, but 3 for 5 from 3 the last 2 games.
But our disagreement last slate was his playing time. He only played 29 minutes, and I just don't think that he has. I don't think he has like a 40-minute game or anything like that in his pocket. So I still don't love him for this particular slate. I have him projected for a little over 20 fantasy points. I gave him a little more minutes this time. I gave him 30 as opposed to 28.
Okay. Good man.
But I still find it hard to project him for really big minutes. He was as good as he could possibly be last game. The entire team got into foul trouble. Everybody was in foul trouble. Ayton was in foul trouble. Cam Johnson got in foul trouble. JaVale McGee got in foul trouble. So they needed to ask Crowder to do a lot more than he normally would. And he played 29 minutes. So it's really hard for me to go out and say like, all right, Crowder's going to play 34, 36 minutes. That's because that's really the crux of the disagreement we had on Jay Crowder. And we went back and forth in our group text about it also. I still don't think a 28-minute projection for Jay Crowder was bad last slate.
T. McBee, Terry McBride in chat, there's a 0% chance that my take changes. That slate before was Nas reading. It was about injury news we were waiting on, and I'm hearing he may or may not even be in the building. I can't watch ESPN while I'm on this show to watch warmups and kind of be apprised of certain situations. So that was a completely different spot. This is one where I'm just pretty convinced. There's nothing that could possibly change. I literally took him out of my pool now. So there's nothing changing there. Do you guys have Caleb Martin projected? No, he's just a dude that exists on this slate. I said if foul trouble or some kind of an injury, he's a guy who can fill a number of hats because he can play a number of different positions, 2 through 4. He could even play, some 4 and small ball lineups, but not going to be something that needs to get done. My filler arc, $1.99. Appreciate the super chat. Love seeing you here. Finally, no more Jordan or Reed nights, ... Hopefully. I'm with you. I don't think even Glenn Rivers does not have the opportunity to screw us over this badly. There's no way either of them are remotely viable today.
Neither are viable, but just because it's kind of funny to talk about. Who plays the backup center minutes today?
Oh, that's actually hilarious. It's going to be Deadman on the floor. It's got to be Reed. Reed's going to play 12 minutes, 10 minutes. Whatever minutes Joel Embiid is not on the floor for, you're going to see Reed.
It's it once again doesn't matter because I'm not playing either of them on this slate. But if he started DeAndre Jordan last game, why would DeAndre Jordan not be the backup center? Like DeAndre Jordan was ahead of Paul Reed in the rotation last game. Why would that not still be the case in the same matchup? It doesn't matter. Neither you or I are playing Paul Reed. Although with that said, the experience with Paul Reed in this series is if he plays 13 minutes, he scores 1 million fantasy points. And that's probably around what the backup center is going to play in this spot. But yeah, either way, the backups aren't viable. The Reed situation, as much as we talk about, was a total wash for us because he was good one game, he was bad the other game, and we were not on him in either spot, and he was uber chalk. So it ended up being a total wash.
Joel Embiid will play on Friday.
There we go. Are you ready? Are you ready for? Okay, we're gonna have to do a thing though, where 25 minutes when we get to lock, I'm gonna guess which filter I think it is you selected. Did you already pick one?
I think I have it. I think I have what I want. I'm just going through and making sure that it's all figured out. Again, doing this on the fly. Should have looked at this a little bit earlier, but not like I had the chance to just go in and through. You know what? Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let Tyler pick it. Tyler, pick the filter that you want for Greg Ehrenberg, because that's even more fun for me. Gets you involved. Also, you generally have good taste. That's why all the background art at Greg's place is so beautiful.
Oh, it's good also is because I'm going to try to see if I can do this the right way because of the way that you and I were messing around with the filters the other day when we were sitting on Zoom for hours after the show. I could do the intro popping into screen like we were doing the other day.
All right. Copy Tyler, Greg. That's perfect. I love it. I love it. Congratulations. I want everybody to meet my new friend, Greg Ehrenberg. Hello, Gregory.
So people can't see Tyler, right?
No, they can't. But they're going to see you here in a second.
All right. So I know which one it is. So I'll know for when we get to 24 minutes from now. I know which.
24 minutes. Perfect. Just want everybody to meet him here in 24 minutes. Smash that like button for Greg. Being a good sport, playing along. Let's just talk about it. Joel Embiid confirmed playing. I think we hashed enough stuff at the beginning, but for anybody that hasn't been with us for this entire program, Tobias Harris falls off a cliff for me. James Harden, you can still get some shares, but he's going to be very contrarian. I really don't want to play him over the likes of Booker, Paul, or Luka Doncic for damn sure. I don't have any interest in Tyrese Maxey. I think Danny Green becomes pretty obsolete in a lot of ways. I don't really see any other Sixer being any kind of a priority. What does this Joel Embiid news do for you?
I mean, all of these guys are lesser options now, and they're all priced up from him being out. So I agree with you. Tobias Harris, not somebody I want to get to. Matisse Thybulle has sucked in this series from a fantasy purpose, and now his minutes are going to dry up to an extent. Talk about we don't like Paul Reed anymore. We don't like DeAndre Jordan anymore. Not that we like DeAndre Jordan at any point, but we've got all these guys now that are just going to see diminished roles at increased prices. The only guys that I really want to get any kind of decent amount of exposure to awarded as it's Joel Embiid and James Harden, with Embiid being the higher priority of the two.
Shane Vendrell, that's hilarious. How does the Embiid news affect Oladipo? That was pretty great. Also, there's an alpaca now behind one Tyler Xander. I didn't know that you were such a cultured individual, but here we are, you and your alpaca. Good times.
It's from Peru.
It's from Peru. It looks like Mexico in your background, though. Isn't that connected to lawn?
It's Peru. When I Googled it, this is what it gave me.
Interesting.
I Googled Peruvian llama.
Peruvian llama. The things that Tyler Xander gets paid for. It's incredible. It's incredible. Max Strus.
Wait.
What?
We're paying him?
Oh, that's your business. That's not mine. PJ Tucker, Max Strus. I don't really know how I get to a lot of these guys in any kind of a capacity. They're going to naturally be guys who show up in some of your lineups. I think Max Strus is somebody that is, just because of his price, not going to fall in as many lineups for me as PJ Tucker. I don't really think there's a whole lot of, I don't know how you could make a case for one being better than the other or something. Is there somebody that is falling into your lineups more at forward on the cheap end that I'm just missing?
You didn't mention Cameron Johnson, did you?
I did not. No, Cameron Johnson's a decent play.
Okay. So Cam Johnson, and this is where I think that I was kind of curious to your take on Cameron Johnson, because it's going to go hand in hand with Jay Crowder. If you're projecting Jay Crowder to play like 36 minutes, there just isn't playing time available for Cam Johnson. But Johnson's pretty regularly been playing minutes in the mid 20s, and it's kind of been a time split with him and Jay Crowder, where you're getting like 24 minutes or so out of Cam Johnson and like 28 minutes out of Crowder. They're mostly staggered, and there's a few minutes where they share together. What happened last game was Cam Johnson got in really, really early foul trouble, ended up picking up 3 fouls. I believe it was in 3 minutes in the first half, and didn't play again until late in the third quarter, and then some garbage time run. But I think Cam Johnson gets right back to playing those mid-20s minutes. And as a contrarian option, I like him for value. Sub 20% owned on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel is a little more popular because he's 4,100. But that aside, I don't think it's terrible to be playing him, mid 20% on FanDuel at 4,100. And there just aren't that many cheap guys to get to. And I think he's going to get his minutes back today. I don't think he gets in foul trouble again. Yeah,
4,100 on FanDuel makes a lot more sense. None of these guys are going to grade out. This is just one of the weirdest slates I can remember in terms of like, what's value? Because value is so, it's not even really a thing on this slate. Like there is no value. So we're kind of making cases for guys that aren't projecting out well. There's tighter pricing because certain places are just completely overpriced. So I do want to kind of target some of those minutes. Cameron Johnson, I think, is cheap enough where I don't think it's an either or. I think he can share the floor with Jay Crowder a little bit, but hasn't seemed to be the case very much. I think he's a decent enough play purely because 4,100 on FanDuel goes a long way. I think on DK also makes sense, 4,600, just fine with that. Same reason that Danny Green at 4,100. I think he becomes just, I don't like him compared to literally any other forward play, but I still have 15% of him because I don't know what else to do to find any kind of value to be able to afford Luka and Embiid.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also, that's the same reason I said I like campaign before. Even projecting him for 12 fantasy points, he gets into my lineups just because we're so starved for value on this slate. Because like we mentioned before, Joel Embiid's back in the picture, Kyle Lowry. So a lot of these slates, we're rostering Sixers guys, we're rostering Heat guys, and it's just not available to us.
So if anybody watched that Dallas game last time around, this, of course, I'm going to finish the forward spot talking about Davis Bertans because that would make sense. Played 19 minutes out of the middle of absolutely nowhere because he was knocking down shots, looked somewhat competent for the first time in a long time out on a basketball floor. Got up to 19 minutes. You had talked about some of the foul troubles for DFS. And if they show up again, there's some utility to a guy who the only job he has on that floor is to knock down threes or to hopefully, fingers crossed, knock down threes. 3,200. I have 5% of him. I don't think he's the most ridiculous idea. I feel better playing him than George Niang, Landry Shamet, Josh Green, those other guys. Is Davis Bertans a guy? I know he's a terrible play, horrendous. Are you getting to him in any lineups?
No, I don't have him projected to play any significant minutes. I gave him 4 just because I think there's a chance he has to play a rotation at some point. But his minutes last game were totally predicated on foul trouble. Dorian Finney-Smith got into massive foul trouble. Dwight Powell got into foul trouble. So, and then also don't forget the game was also a blowout where he got garbage time run. So I do not think he plays extended minutes unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstance, injury, foul trouble, blowout. Those are the 3 things that have to happen for Bertans minutes.
Yeah, it's the same reason. I think McGee 3,200 is the guy that I want to get to the most, who's going to be 32 and below. Does that make him a priority? No, it doesn't. He's projected in 25.5% of lineups, which is ridiculous for a guy who has a minutes projection of like 10.5. But that's kind of the slate that we're given. It's not the slate we deserve, but it's the slate we've been given. Anything else you want to talk about at all? Oh, I suppose we should talk about Jimmy Butler. He's going to be kind of the forgotten guy amongst Embiid, amongst Luka Doncic, these other spend-ups. Is Jimmy Butler somebody that you're getting to in any kind of meaningful way?
No, I have some. That was probably our biggest miss last slate, was not being heavy on Jimmy Butler because he ended up being a crucial part of the slate. And I think we hit on a lot of the stuff other than Jimmy Butler. So that was one of the reasons that I did okay last slate, but I felt like looking back, I was like, oh, I should have done really well. What did I miss? And then it was like, oh yeah, Jimmy Butler. But I'm still not projecting him crazy highly. I do think that he projects a little bit better than James Harden, though, at least.
I agree with that. Projects a little bit better than James Harden. Again, I'm going to be having a pretty anti-rest of the Sixers approach. If they burn me, they burn me. But I think that's going to be the ride or die situation for me. Oh, my filler arc, $4.99 coming in with a massive super chat here. Appreciate you. One more, guys. Bam and Bridges and Green versus Ayton, DFS, and Strus. I'm thinking the latter since Embiid is back and Bam may get lots of fouls. So there you go. One more. Bam, Bridges, Green, or Ayton, DFS, Strus for you, Greg?
Bam, Bridges, and Green. Mostly because I don't like Max Strus.
I do not like Max Strus at 5K plus. Like, that's just not going to happen for me. So I'm with you. Anything else from forward for you?
We had one other super chat from the Losers Win Again, where he asked us for our thoughts on Kyle Lowry in Showdown. Let me see. I didn't.
$5 footlong. We appreciate that.
Did you make Showdown lineups?
I didn't today. I'm pulling it up right now as we're talking. DraftKings Showdown
as well.
I have one Showdown lineup. I put like one in the thing because I was planning on preparing it. Alas, I did not. Starting lineup for the Sixers: Harden, Maxey, Green, Harris, Embiid. Exactly what we expected. Good times had by all. Embiid playing basketball.
So, by the way, looking at the pricing, I think it's probably hard to avoid Kyle Lowry at 7,600. The reason being is these are the guys priced around him. Gabe Vincent at 64, Max Strus at 68. Then you get above him, it's Tyler Hero at 74, Maxey at 84. And there just isn't that much value to be had because the cheap guys that we're looking at in this game, I mean, it's like PJ Tucker, but at 5K, Danny Green at 4,400. I think you're kind of forced to have interest in Kyle Lowry because the guys priced around him are not very appealing.
Yeah, in my one lineup, I mean, there's a way to play Embiid and play a lot of guys with decent projections, I think. So I'm going to be doing that in my one lineup. I think that that's kind of a pretty fascinating path to go with. You talk about Bam foul trouble. We'll talk about Dedmon next. He's 1,200 on the showdown slate. I think there's some utility to having some lineups with him if you're not going to have Bam and you're going to play some of the other studs around it. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun game for real life purposes. Fantasy showdown, it's just different because you don't have to worry about the other game on the slate. But I think the other game on a slate makes it hard when the Sixers project out as poorly as they do now with Embiid back. Best of luck to you, Kyle Lowry. I definitely like that call for a showdown. Anything else from forward now before we move to center?
We did get a super chat from Race Fan 22 also, which it's reiterating something that we just talked about, but he wants to know thoughts on Bertans tonight when he's only running one lineup. I would not play him in just one line. If you're playing one lineup, I would not have Bertans in it.
Yeah, I have 80 lineups. I have 5% Davis Bertans. I'm doing it simply because he's 3,200. I'm doing it simply because he's a guy that will go out and shoot in 10 minutes that he plays or 8 minutes. I guess Greg had him projected for 4 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith, I do not expect that kind of foul trouble going forward, but definitely something to be paying attention to. Oh, Ms. Unic, $1.99, another super chat coming in. Is 5 Heat players too many with Dedmon being 1 for RM? I don't know what that means. Is 5 Heat players too many with Dedmon being 1 for RM? I don't know what that is.
Let's see. So is 4 Heat. I'm trying to think what the RM. I
mean, 5 Heat players is a lot to land on today. I mean, Lowry, Bam, Butler. If those 3 showed up in one lineup, I have no problem with that. And you could maybe have PJ Tucker be somebody who shows up. 5 just feels like a ton on this slate.
I don't have. So in terms of Heat players, I'm just looking through the DraftKings builds I have right now because I know it's a DraftKings question because you can't play. you can't play 5 players from the same team on FanDuel. So in terms of my build, I have no lineups with 5 Heat players. I have no lineups with 4 Heat players, and I have 9 lineups with 3 Heat players. So I would advocate against playing 5 in the same lineup.
I think that is a good advocation. Another good advocation, Greg. Going to oddshopper.com, checking out the best bets we have available in 30 seconds or less. Head to oddshopper.com. Check out hundreds of bets that are posted daily, instantly, that are updating in real time as projections change, as things are changing on our end here at Awesemo. We got the guys, Eddie Lai, Steve Buzzard, Sean Zahn, just genius guys. Oh, and that Alex Baker, Awesemo character, he's pretty good too. They're updating everything constantly behind the scenes here. OddShopper, you simply have to go to the site. You click on the best bets in NBA, NHL, now PGA is added. It's such a great site to be able to find anything that you want to find instantly in the props market. If there's a side that's being taken anywhere, plus we have the best bets. That's going to be something I talk about here in a little bit, but we have a channel specifically devoted to help you identify the bets these guys are making. That's in the premium Discord, but a lot of data post directly up there, including NBA betting performances using just the top expected ROI bets. So that doesn't mean every single one is somebody that's firing, but it's going to be something showing expected ROI, and that's what matters. Up 4.7 units. Look, it says 39, 41, and 0, Greg. Oh, that's a bummer. Well, not really, because expected ROI is what matters. And if you're in the green there, 5.88% expected ROI, that is the key component to the entire equation, making sure that we can make you profitable bettors if you have sports betting legalized in your state. Take advantage of it, track your bets. There's so many great opportunities to have OddShopper work for you. Go check it out. Greg, is there any prop that you've identified for today that is a go-to that you are going to be taking advantage of?
So I'm pulling something up right now because I want to see what the alternate lines are for Joel Embiid, because we've talked about there's a really wide range of outcomes when it comes to him. I don't want to straight bet the over on his points prop because I just don't know how he's going to look. I don't know what the minutes are going to look like, but there's a chance he's totally fine. Just like we saw with Devin Booker earlier in that series, he could come back and just look totally like himself. So We have, all right, here's the line I want to get. Joel Embiid to score 30 plus points, plus 255.
Oh, baby.
Right? Because
Sign me up for that.
how much more likely do you think he is to have 25 points than he is to have 30? Like, I think it's pretty predicated on health, right? So I think this is a situation where I think the alternate lines make more sense than just the straight lines.
You make too much sense, Greg. That makes too much sense. I was literally going to just talk about Victor Oladipo and shorting the shit out of his rebounds. Under 2.5, plus 100, 75% expected win percentage. You heard it here. Yeah, it's the top bet on the board, but it goes in my narrative of, I'm just going to short everything Victor Oladipo does. Best of luck to me. Go check it out. Go check out exactly which book to find the best line at. Go take advantage of it there. Plus 100, under 2.5 rebounds for Victor Oladipo. And I love that, Greg. Smashing the over at the alternate line, getting plus 250 on 30 plus points from Embiid. Sign me up for that. Because as you said, if he's unhealthy, he's just not going to be able to play that much whatsoever. He's probably not even reaching 20. But if he's getting the minutes you and I expect, smash it. Check it out. Thank you so much to OddsShopper for all of the great work that all the guys are doing here at Awesemo to make it as glorious and as efficient and as profitable as what it is. All right, Ryan Langley, $9.99, just to say, guys, thanks for the great content. Appreciate all that you do. My God, we appreciate you, Ryan, because sometimes, you're up here, you feel like you want to just give the people the great advice, and you don't know if it always is going to be something that's appreciated. And oh, shit. Yeah, you heard what's happening. Greg,
yeah,
you ready?
I know. Go on and do your thing.
You have lived a sad, pathetic life. And if you want to make penance for it, you will give the people all this inner place that they need to be profitable, or your life will not be spared.
At least
Sure.
it's getting better.
No, it's not. It's getting far worse. And
I mean, I think that one was
it's getting
better
so
than one
bad
of
that
the
your
first
arm
ones.
disappeared.
Oh, did it? Oh, yeah. It's back.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I give it
from
a
The
B
Rock.
minus.
Thank you. B minus from Tyler, the impression king himself. I'll take it. I like it. But yes, much appreciated for the super chat. Miami Mike always coming in with the jigsaw emoji that scared the shit out of me the first time I saw it. I've since adjusted, and I combat it with a funny little impression. Corey Ballmer, $2. Tobias Harrison Brunson or Butler and Kleba on DK, Greg.
Let me find that super chat. Okay.
Glad
Harrison,
everybody
Brunson,
noticed
or
the pinky. That was on purpose.
Butler and Maxi Kleba.
Butler and Maxi Kleba, same. Just give me the Maxi Kleba. I am way invested in this guy. So go me. That'll feel good. Let's jump to center. I think we got Charles Oliver. Yeah, we got it covered. To the center spot, Joel Embiid showing up in a meaningful amount of my lineups. How much Joel Embiid did you end up getting to?
Let's see. So Joel Embiid in the build I have right now, I have him at 34%.
Cool. Talk to me. I mean, is there any kind of a major deterrent? Anything that you got concerned? I mean, we're just playing him. We're playing him.
Yeah. The deterrent, which isn't really, I mean, I'm overweight to him, right? Because I think there's a lot of upside. In tournaments, I care less about the floor than I do about the ceiling. If I had to say the deterrents, I have no clue how many minutes he's going to play. I don't know what he's going to look like. And I prefer Luka Doncic. I have more exposure to Luka. The positives are that Joel Embiid could play with the mask just fine. We've seen him play with a mask in the past and be successful with it. And if that's the case, if he comes out and looks like himself, then I think a lot of people will regret they didn't have him in the lineup. But he's coming back from an injury. There's a wide range of outcomes. And I view this pretty similar to how I approached, say, like the Devin Booker situation in game one of the Suns Mavericks series. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to confidently tell you I know that Joel Embiid is going to look 100% or that the mask isn't going to bother him or that he's totally free of concussion symptoms. But I know there's a chance he is, and I'll take a risk on that upside.
Yep. Take a risk, make a chance, make a change, and break away. It's a song.
I figured it's
don't
much.
even know. It's a song. That was embarrassing, even by my standards. Next up on the center list, we got Bam Adebayo, DeAndre Ayton, pick one.
And by the way, another good point is that he also does have the thumb injury still, which hampered him in the last year. So there's a lot of stuff going on with Embiid. He's going to have surgery on the thumb in the offseason. Yes, that is still going to be an issue, but there's still the upside in Joel Embiid. And he did seem to get better at playing through that thumb injury the last time I saw him, because don't forget, before getting hurt, he was having his best game of the series, or before, not the thumb injury, before the face injury and the fracture. He was 12 of 18 from the field with a usage rate over 30% in that closeout game against the Raptors. He shouldn't have been in the fourth quarter in a 30-point game. But that aside, it looked like he was kind of figuring out how to work his way through that thumb injury. As for your question before, Eaton versus Adebayo, I prefer Eaton just because mostly with Embiid back.
I'm with you. Let's see. What else do we have here? Y'all acting like Embiid didn't watch the last games. Yeah, he did. Is Eric okay? Does he had a head injury? I don't know. The world may never know. I was hit by a car a long time ago. Sad story for a different day. Let's move to anything else, though. Nope. No other center I really want to talk about other than JaVale McGee. That's the last guy. I'm not playing Powell. I think you can play a guy who's starting and can maybe, if he actually shows up and plays well, play maybe more than 15 minutes, but I doubt it. I would rather take my shots with McGee because he is a phenomenal fantasy point per minute guy. Foul trouble has shown up for Ayton from time to time that can open up for more minutes. And that is a Herculean smash. Even JaVale McGee, though, got himself in foul trouble last game. That's why he only played 10. I think there's an opportunity for 15 in a backup role. I think there's no Bismack Biyombo if he doesn't get in foul trouble last game. Do you feel as good about McGee being a guy that you can get to at 3,200 as I do?
I mean, just in the nature of we need fantasy points from somebody who's cheap. And I have him projected for 12.2, really similar to what I have a projection for on campaign. And yeah, he makes it into my lineups just because I need his saved salary somewhere. I have another contrarian value option that I don't think you're going to like, but I think this is the time to play him.
Dwayne Dedman?
No, Dwight Powell. Nobody's playing Dwight Powell anymore. Nobody's playing him anymore.
Because I told people not to, and that was the right move, and it's still the right move. But I think this is the first slate period where if somebody said I'm going to roster Dwight Powell for savings, I'm like, okay, go ahead. Like it's really hard to say that it's like a horrific play or something.
He's not popular. We had other slates where he was really popular, and we were looking at Matt Kleber as a pivot off of Dwight Powell. Well, now Dwight Powell's still the starting center. He's gotten to be really cheap. He's now $3,600 over on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's also $3,600 with power forward and power forward and center eligibility. He's still cheap. People just aren't playing him anymore. I mean, we're talking about liking JaVale McGee, who I don't know how many fantasy points you have him projected for, but I said 12 for me. I don't think it's unreasonable to project Dwight Powell for 13.5, which is what I have right now. And for this slate where the value options all suck, 13.5 is viable at low ownership.
All right. I need you to do something for 1 minute. I don't know why or how the time got to where it is, but we're in like block mode. So 2 minutes to go, less than 2 minutes, probably going to be a little bit of a sweat for me to get everything in the way that I wanted to. But why don't you take over the reins? And if there's any other questions people have, fire them up here for Greg Ehrenberg.
You have 1 minute exactly, by the way.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah. Get your work boots on there, Eric. You got some work to do. Upload those quickly. Use that fantasy cruncher. So people are concerned about Powell in the chat. I agree. I have a shitty projection for Dwight Powell. I have him projected for a little over 13 fantasy points. But the other people that we're playing today are like, we're just talking about JaVale McGee being viable.
Sure are.
Is JaVale McGee, should he be projected that much differently than Dwight Powell? I don't know. Like, Eric, I know you're busy making your lines. Maybe you know off the top.
It's fine.
I
can answer.
How many more fantasy points do you have McGee for than Powell?
4.
Okay. That's a pretty big gap to me. So what do you have Powell projected for?
Yeah, I have Powell projected for 12 and I have McGee for 16.
Okay. So we don't even have that big of a difference on Powell. I just have McGee project for less fantasy points than you. But once again, there are no cheap value plays we're looking at and being like, that's the guy today. There's none of that. There's nobody who's in a great value situation because players are ruled out. The reason we're getting to guys like Campaign or JaVale McGee at all is because we're desperate for salary savings. Dwight Powell's a starter. Does it mean he's going to play well? No, absolutely not. But at the very least, I think he's going to play 12 to 14 minutes, potential for more. If he actually is okay to start the game, then he can end up playing over 20 minutes. So that's the reason I look at Dwight Powell and say that he's worth being overweight to the field on just for that reason. All right, we're at lock. How'd you do?
Well, I have one share of Victor Oladipo, and that's one too many out of my 80. But whatever.
I hope that is the lineup
upset.
that wins tournaments, and Eric will never hear the end of it.
I'll literally just quit my job. I'll take the 100K and I'll leave because it would be better than getting trolled in chat at this point in time. Go ahead. Oh,
Setting up the.
You're ready?
I hope this is going to screw it up.
Yeah.
Also, now that we're locked, do y'all have an answer to the trivia question I posted in chat?
No clue.
No, I don't give
which
a
of these
schnitzel.
Which of
What?
these teammates both had 40-plus point games in the same playoff game?
Which teammates did or which ones? I don't see the question.
Yeah, which teammates? So the options were Kobe and Shaq, Reggie Miller and Jalen Rose, John Stockton and Karl Malone, or LeBron and Dwayne Wade.
So I had a dummy lineup, and that's the only reason that this one share ended up getting through. This lineup is dead. It's not a lineup I'm worried about. It's dead. I'm worried about my other lineup. So, oh, there he is. Gregory Ehrenberg. Hello.
So it's actually, what is it labeled as? It is called, let's see, what is this called in here? It is called Cyclops. But because I have lost a bet to Eric, and this is what's been chosen, I am the Cyclops now. Paying my bet off. I don't welch on the bet. This is what. Yeah. Oh, that is. It does look more. I forget. What are those things called in Toy Story?
I don't know, but they're really. I used to have nightmares about them when I was a kid. Like
Oh my God,
I
you were
really
so
did not
soft.
like those. I'm so soft. Actually, the movie I had the most nightmares about, and now it's like my favorite, Mortal Kombat. It's maybe the greatest playlist. I was actually listening to it as I was running today. It was the bomb. The song by the Immortals, the like build up Mortal Kombat soundtrack, fire, hot fire.
By the way, they're just called Green Aliens.
Green Aliens. Okay, well that's
Yeah.
really less exciting than I was hoping for.
That is what I remember about. That is the one thing that I remember them doing. Just claw when they were. Yeah, that's. I haven't seen the Toy Story movies for a while. I would rewatch those also.
Yeah, Toy Story is goat franchise. Toy Story 3. That is a tearjerker, man.
I don't know if I saw Toy Story 3.
What?
Well, I got older.
You have to see Toy Story 3. It's literally catered towards like coming of age adults, like going through. Oh, dude, you have to see Toy Story 3 tonight. You have to see that. What's the other thing I said you had to see? Palm Springs. You probably haven't watched that yet, have you?
Dude, I was 20 years old when Toy Story 3 came out. Like at that point, I'm not. I feel like I was kind of past it. So the difference, Toy Story 2 came out when I was 9. Toy Story, the first one, came out when I was 5. So there's just a big gap in between them where I wouldn't have seen it anymore.
Yeah, people, chat knows what's up. Toy Story 3, goat franchise. Ready, Greg? We are going to play the old how much are they owned. Also, the thing I'm most worried about today.
We forgot about Tyler's poll, by the way. Do you want us to answer his poll question?
What is the question again?
Yeah.
I didn't even see it. Which set of teammates? He just sent it.
Okay, he just sent it. All right.
Which set of teammates had 40? Both had 40-plus point games in the same playoff game. There's no way Stockton and Malone did it. The answer is easy, by the way. The answer is Reggie Miller and Jalen Rose because there's no other reason they would be included. Why would they be in that poll? It has to be.
Unless
Yep. Both correct. It is Reggie Miller and Jalen Rose. They did it on this date in 2000, 22 years ago. LeBron and Dwayne came close. LeBron had 41, Dwayne had 35. But yeah, Kobe and Shaq never did it.
Eric will tweet you when Oladipo breaks the slate. Mitchell, stop. Get help. It's not happening. Oladipo is dust. He is dust. He's not good. He is not going to. What would you set the over-under on minutes at, Greg?
For Oladipo, over-under on minutes?
Yes.
I gave him. Well, here's the thing: is like if he's in the rotation, he's going to play. In the first half and the second half.
That's why I gave him. I would set the over-under at 6.5. So either he's a DNP-CD or there's enough cushion there where blowout run. Like if this game were to just get out of control, which I don't expect, but just saying,
I would do
6.5.
10. I would do 10.5. He has to play because then he has to play like one rotation in each half. Maybe 9.5.
Here we go. Did you just send me all the ownership? What's happening? Did you say?
Oh no, that's
that's
Chat's ownership. That's Chat's ownership for the poll. 52% went with Kobe and Shaq. That's egregious.
Shaq and Kobe. The thing about it is like 40 for both of them. They were always like the duo where if one was going, the other one would just play sidecar a little bit. You know what I mean? Like watching their playoff games growing up, it was always just like Shaq night or Kobe night. It was very rarely Shaq and Kobe night.
But we have a very funny super chat right now.
All right, well, I'm ready for it here. My filler arc. You will never get the crappy, batty formula. What does that mean?
He meant to say crabby patty.
Krabby Patty.
Saying I look like plankton.
You do look like plankton.
Yeah, true. I am 99% gas and 1% evil. Not inaccurate.
Not inaccurate at all.
Not inaccurate.
All right. Well, we're at Odd Shopper portion of the program here as well. Greg, my green goblin friend over there. It chooses. Ready to rock with some Odd Shopper here as well. Oh, wait, no, we do have to do ownership. We always do ownership. We have to. That's where we're starting in these streets. Starting with Bam Adebayo.
Okay. By the way, I have so little by the way, ownership.
Oh my
projection.
God. What is going on with ownership today? This is bonkers. I should have played more. I should have played even more. This is insanity.
This is such a difficult one to figure out because we've got Embiid back. I have a feeling the field didn't really want to play him, but at the same time also,
you will not believe Embiid's ownership. You will not believe it. Don't put it in chat. Do not put it in chat. The $20 in DK.
Okay.
Greg,
so
what is Joel Embiid's ownership?
Oh, so we're starting with Embiid?
Yeah. I just switched it from Adebayo because this is way more important.
15%.
12.5% Joel
Not
Embiid.
That far off. So here's something that I think we've noticed in the playoffs to this point. Whoever played well in the last game is going to be massively, like the ownership is going to be really high for them the next game.
Yeah.
And there's so many question marks about Joel Embiid. I think people ultimately didn't want to click that button. Yeah, I could see how it happened.
Tobias Harris.
All right. Tobias Harris was $7,300 on DraftKings. 20%?
27.4%.
That's very high. All right.
Tyrese Maxey.
Okay, so here's what's happened now, because we're seeing how people built their lineups. People have built their lineups under a couple of assumptions. Either number one, people built their lineups assuming Embiid would not play and didn't change it, or option two, people have just built their lineups assuming that Joel Embiid is going to play limited minutes or isn't going to be close to 100%. So with that in mind, I think that I have a good concept of how I could try to figure out these ownership projections from here out. You said 27% for Tobias Harris, then I'm going to say 29% for Maxey.
Paul Reed.
Wait, you didn't give me.
Oh, sorry, Maxey 30.3%.
Okay, I was very close there.
Yeah, you did good on that one. I think Maxey being higher owned than Harris slightly is okay, but that's still so much ownership for both of them.
All right, so
Paul Reed,
10%,
6.1%, a little bit lower than I was hoping it would be, but such is life. This is the one that just boggles my brain. Furkan Korkmaz.
15%?
11.7% of people thought it was a good idea to play Furkan Korkmaz today.
So what are the odds that somebody wins a GPP with a player scoring less than 10 fantasy points in the lineup today?
Higher on this slate than just about any other 2-game slate I can ever remember.
Yeah, I do not have Korkmaz in the rotation today.
I don't either. That's why I just thank you for the rake. Him and Oladipo. Oh, you ready? Victor Oladipo.
All right, so Oladipo. It's hard to say because the 90% of the people in chat were trolling when they were talking about Victor Oladipo before.
Malakar, yeah. If you want to get drunk with us. Come kick it. Come hang out. Greg and I. We're going to be here for another 20 minutes. Good to have you.
15% for Oladipo? What is it?
Victor Oladipo is 26.1% owned.
All right. So he actually ended up being a chalk play today. So Victor Oladipo is chalk.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Silly bastards. What are you doing? 26.1%.
All right. This is going to be interesting. So we actually, and by the way, I wonder what is he on FanDuel then? Because he was cheaper on FanDuel. He was 4,200 on FanDuel. He's probably like 35% owned on FanDuel. Right?
I don't know. I didn't.
Because I didn't play lineups on FanDuel, but I assume
I played in the $4.44. I played a bunch of lineups in that. I didn't play the $9 today because I am mainly focused on my Deuces Wild tickets that I have on FanDuel today. I have a bunch in that 222, and so I'm kind of just like praying to God I win 100K there today. That'd be fun. That'd be cool. Go Eric Lauer in 9 minutes. How about that? Let's see. What do we got? I'll tell you what it is in the $4.44. Oh, I got to get out of baseball. Oops. MLB squeeze. That's not useful. Here we go. NBA shot. 10K to first. Merrick is the same guy who played Paul Casey this week because I had a dummy lineup that ended up being entered in every contest. That's why. Oh, my Lord.
So by the way, given Embiid's ownership, Luka is going to be uber popular.
Yeah, Luka is going to be crazy popular. Victor Oladipo, 27.3%. I said, you silly people. You should have just played him over on FanDuel. Somehow the identical ownership between DK and FanDuel, I don't understand. The only thing that I could understand is that some projection system still loves Oladipo under the assumption that he's played his way into a rotational spot, or Kyle Lowry is going to be extremely limited, or both. Does that make sense?
No, I think it's just people who build lineups by hand.
26% of people need,
but I'm telling you, we see this more in the playoffs on these 2-game slates than at any other point during the regular season. People are building their lineups based on what happened last game. So some people were 100% trolling us when we were talking about Victor Oladipo earlier, but there's some people that were being serious that were just looking at what happened the last couple of games when Kyle Lowry was out and think it's the same scenario.
Yeah, Greg's doing the whole show with the filter on. Yeah,
I lost a bet. This is what I had to do.
This is what it is. This is what he does. He's a man.
I pay up, unlike Joey Corman, who won't admit that he cheats at the game.
Absolute cheating rat child, that is. Oddshopper.com. Let's talk some NBA bets here for the late night hammer here. I think that this is about the appropriate time to do it. We talked about Devin Booker last time. Over on points. That was a smash fest. That was enjoyable. It seems as though the market has started to react a little bit, but even rebounds seem like a decent enough thing to get advantage of. But points up to 26.5 now, up from 24.5 it was that I got it at earlier, 25.5. What was that, Wednesday when they played? 26.5. Excuse me, just more of a stay away situation for me altogether. But maybe the over on 4.5 rebounds, that feels a little bit low to me. But anything stick out to you on OddsShopper for this Suns Mavericks game?
Let's see, because I need to see what numbers are the same or different from earlier. Okay, so this one is still there. Dorian Finney-Smith over 2.5 threes. I don't think the 2.5 threes is a bad number. I think that is totally reasonable. I have him projected right at 2.5 threes, but it's plus 150 on the over. So considering you're getting massive plus money on something I view as like a 50-50 proposition, our projections have it winning 55% of the time. You got something that's a coin flip and you're getting plus 150 on one side. That's going to make sense to take the over in that spot.
Yep, I like it. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to Luka Doncic. Yeah, 9.5 rebounds over on that. Chris Paul, there's plus 115 on the under there. That's pretty nuts. Looking at a number of these different props, I'm putting together a prize picks card here as we're going as well. That's where I'm at. I'm in California. That's how I play and get my prop exposure. Again, season long, yeah, there's some spots where 29 and 41 wouldn't be a record that I would want on prize picks because all I'm worried about is getting winners. So I sort by expected win percentage, and you got to go by the blocks and steals and threes, the things that aren't necessarily there. But the over of 2.5 assists for Spencer Dinwiddie is sure there. 66% expected win percentage. I think that makes some sense pairing that with Luka rebounds over 9.5. I mean, Luka could legitimately play 46 minutes tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they're down 2-0 in the series. They absolutely have to win. I project him for 44. If he plays the entire game, it wouldn't be surprising to me. They are going to do everything within their power to not get down 3-0 in the series. I think Luka plays a ton. I think that Dorian Finney-Smith plays a ton. I think Reggie Bullock plays a ton. I have all of them projected for north of 40 minutes.
Chat might be smarter the Eric tonight. You couldn't even troll me and put it in correct vernacular fashion. What are we doing here? What is happening? Chat may no good be the words, things, actions, events. That's what it sounded like to me when I read that. Anyway, I'm very excited to see what happens with Victor Oladipo.
I'm smart too. Everybody in chat thinks they're smarter than us. By the way, we're gonna feel like idiots if what?
It was just hilarious because you have this alien sentient being yelling.
Yeah, I'm smart.
I'm smart too.
Yeah, I'm not dumb like they say.
But my mama says, but the alligator's got all them teeth but no toothbrush. And the best regards to your mama. The Colonel Sanders guy. Never gets old.
Do you think when's the last time you watched those movies?
A long time, but it's incredible how much I've quoted them with my friends over my entire lifetime. I grew up in South Dakota. What else do we have other than to watch movies and play a lot of sports? That's all I did.
Imagine the drug use rate has to be pretty high in that part of the country, right?
Did not do that, Greg. But yes.
No, not for you, but in general, I would think so. People
out making meth in bathtubs like it's, like it's popping popcorn routinely in the fridge. I don't know. It's weird stuff. Weird times. Was that a Frito as an alien cyclops? It was something like that. Hey, you guys. So right. Good.
Which?
This game started.
God, this
it just started. This took freaking 17 minutes. Every game has been starting like within 3 minutes of lock for the last however long. This one needed all that Joel Embiid run up. Here we go. Tipping off for me. Where are you at? It just tipped off.
Oh, no, I was looking up meth statistics.
Oh, Jesus. Got dark. Kyle Lowry misses a jumper. First possession. Joel Embiid offensive charge immediately. First minute.
That's no good for him.
I've been loving the quick starts. Me too, Dylan R. Matt
ESP.
Peaker. Yeah, South Dakota has a lot of livestock to peruse, I bet. Yeah, I mean, if that's your jam. I was not. Look at me. Do I seem like the farming type? Probably not.
Look at me. Who do you think you are? I am.
Who do you think you are? I am. I have a pretty good Pete Weber. Yes. That's Pete Weber. Sounds like him.
Well, chat, I think the Zoom call just... Oh, y'all both got me. Dude, y'all both got me so good.
I can't tell if he's blinking or not, though. I'm doing so good, but
fair.
I can't. This is not a fair fight. I'm going to blink in a second.
Oh, no, we actually did lose Greg.
Oh, we lost Greg.
Yeah, we lost Greg.
Oh, that's a thing that actually happened.
Oh, Greg's back.
He's back. I was doing a staring contest with myself.
All right, there we go. Am I back on?
You're back on.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing a bit, so I joined and I did a staring contest with you for a minute. And now my eyes hurt because I was so convinced I was going to win, even though you had alien eyes. You can't hide your lion eyes, and your smile is in disguise. You'd think by now I'd realize there ain't no way to hide those lion eyes. The cloud binds us. What's up, producer Ty? Were you in there with us, Ty? Hanging out? Do we have producer Cam Ty in the building?
Yeah, I just put it on the 3-man. So I'm
join us with your alpaca. I love it.
Alpaca.
Come join us. Come kick it.
What's
alpaca?
An alpaca?
Oh no,
he's from
it's
Peru.
The British version. It's an alpaca.
His name's Liam.
Imagine thinking Green was a must. I didn't, but he had rebounds, and he's just going to be on the floor. It's 2-0, 2 minutes into this game. Hello, Under. How are you? Pleased to meet you.
Yeah,
Jimmy
I
Butler,
think
bucket.
Yeah, I think there'll be a little more scoring going forward. I wouldn't say the under is hit at this point.
Sorry, I just cringed so hard I threw up. Red Skittles, shut up. You're in timeout.
I think we should get clarification. Which thing in particular was it that he cringed at? Because it could have been any number of things.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me pull out the Rolodex from today. Carlos Manzo, $5 with a heart emoji. That seems nice. Eric is the Bob Marley type. We jaman, yaman.
That is really. Yeah, I was thinking about that too because I was like, well, because I don't know what it is because my internet was still fine. I was still seeing chat move, so I'm like somewhere just Zoom is screwing up right now. And I was thinking if I'm just frozen for the rest of the time, at least I have the Cyclops face on.
This is true. I know Eric Lindquist can recite the dictionary. He's amazing. I can definitely recite the dictionary. Look at this. ESPN up on the. Look at Craig Ehrenberg. It's just so ridiculous. But yes, Tyler's pulling up everything here for us here on ESPN. It's just so crazy looking at Greg in the middle of the screen. I can't even. Bam, shooting foul. Get on the board, Joel Embiid. Let's get this party started. Free throw, bang.
First one.
Bang. I need some Mike Breeden bangs. I also heard, is JJ Redick actually on the call for this game? Because that would be the greatest thing ever. I'm actually looking forward to listening to commentating tonight. Little birdie told me that he might be.
No, I closed my stream because I didn't want my video to crap out again. So I just have the box score up.
Somebody just say Oladipo checked in, Eric. That would be very bad.
That would be hilarious if he did. Well, is there any? It's
like 3 minutes into the game.
Well, somebody could have been in foul trouble.
That doesn't look like it. Yes, JJ is on it. Oh, dude, he's so good. That guy, I mean, it's not just that he's my favorite Duke player of all time, because of course he is. I had my number 4 in high school because of JJ Redick. Then he switched to 7 in the NBA. And then he was the most hated Dookie ever. But I'm pretty sure if you've been listening to his podcast like I have forever, he is incredible interviewing guys. Like whether it's like the Jimmy Butler one, he's gone back and forth with Bill Simmons in the past. I mean, there's so many great, incredible JJ Redick podcasts over the years. And now on First Take, he is just must-watch TV. He just went after Chris Russo the other day. It was beautiful stuff.
Yeah. So the podcast I liked the best was the one he did with Joel Embiid. I don't listen to all of them, but every once in a while, if there's one that I think is interesting, the Joel Embiid one's really good. If I had to recommend one, that's the one I would say to do.
Yeah, he's just overall insightful. He's authentic. You can tell that he cares about the game of basketball in an extreme way, but also he cares about the people who play basketball, which I think is a very underrated thing when it comes to being like a Kendrick Perkins, when it comes to being like a Rip Hamilton. Oh, not why do I always say Rip Hamilton instead of Richard Jefferson? Richard Jefferson, like those guys are great. I really enjoy their analysis, but there's something about you can just tell JJ Redick is out there defending the NBA player. Like he's out there, he understands the grind because he did it forever. And like, he's always on their side in terms of like making sure that he appropriately asks guys in interviews about things that have to do with the game. Like he's just very insightful in a way that we've never really seen on TV.
Draymond Green.
Oh, Draymond Green's incredible too. Yeah. He's like blunt, honest, and he's funny. Like, I don't think JJ Redick's that funny.
But I think Draymond's probably the highest IQ player in the league right now. Like there's a lot of people that you could kind of throw in because like Draymond Green, and this isn't meant as a slight, but he maximizes his physical capabilities more than anybody else just because he's so knowledgeable and understands basketball so much. Like there's been multiple plays that go, viral on Twitter where you'll see people break down where there's like an inbound play and Draymond Green will put everybody in certain spots on defense because he already knows what set the offense is running when they're coming off the court. So I think Draymond does the best job of breaking the games down. And I know that Carlos Manzo bring out high IQ, but acts like a dumbass. Yeah, he does make some low IQ decisions at times, but overall his basketball IQ is very high. He does occasionally kick somebody in the balls here and there though.
Yeah, that's less high basketball IQ, but for the most part, I'm with you. 10-8, Philadelphia off to a decent start here. Tobias Harris, rebound. Nope, no bucket there. Timeout. 5 minutes in. We have 5 minutes left of this show, ironically enough. Probably won't get to see any more basketball here for the duration of this show. But man, good start to this game in terms of just seeing Joel Embiid out there. I feel pretty confident he's going to play a lot of minutes. We're 5 minutes in. He looks all right out there. Nothing egregious.
There we go. I was going to say, you haven't said egregious yet this entire show. You're going to give people a conniption if you don't work your word in. I mean, it didn't even fit in the scenario. You just said it for no reason.
You say the word "the" every other sentence, every other word. Oh, I'm going to call you out for it. Sorry.
Yeah, the word "the" is hard to get away from saying.
Yeah,
egregious.
So is egregious. When something's egregious, it's just whatever. Jimmy Butler, 26.6%. Max Strus, only 12.2%. See, that's just crazy to me that, like, you know, as much as I didn't like Max Strus and he was just up there in terms of price and stuff, how does he end up at 12.2% for 500 more than Oladipo at double the ownership?
Because Oladipo played well the last couple of games, and that's what I think a lot of people are using to build their lineups. I really think that a lot of people just look at it as he is different in this series because it's a different matchup, not he's different in the series because Kyle Lowry's been out.
Oh, man, we need to just keep jamming these 2-game slates is what we're learning. I need to check in on the MLB slate here as well. How did Eric Lauer pitch in his first inning? Has it even started? Nope. Still top of the first there. I do have a lot of Rowdy Tellez. He's in one of my major 2-2-2 lineups on FanDuel. I'm hoping that he can make something happen going up against Chavez in this Atlanta bullpen. Just swinging a good bat in the early going this season. Basically just power and a decent ballpark. So here we go.
Sorry, I just realized this could also be part of the reason because Thomas Wood put it in. He said it's because Strus was questionable at first. It is true the Heat have had really dumb injury reports where they just list everybody as questionable. That could have swayed some people's decision making. It's not real, but they've been listing
to me.
They list almost their entire rotation as questionable. So maybe that is something some people saw and were like, oh, I have to play Oladipo because the team's shorthanded.
That's a good point. I think we have to always have context when it comes to playoff time. Embiid was listed out this morning. He was listed doubtful at noon my time. He was listed game time decision, 2 hours later. And now 2 hours after that, 4 o'clock out here, he's on the floor starting in a game. It was never in doubt that he was going to play. As long as he passed concussion protocol, there was no doubt in my mind. And I thought there was a very good chance just based on, getting elbowed in the face again. Concussions, they can definitely linger, but it seems as though from what it sounded like, he was healthy, conscious, alert. He said something about looking at a screen was hurting his eyes or whatever. But like even having awareness like that is something that's better than most other concussions you might have or things of that nature. There was just no doubt in my mind he was going to play.
Have you ever had a concussion?
I have.
What did you get? I've told this before. I got a concussion playing tennis. How did you get a concussion?
Rowdy Tellez, double 2-run RBI. Let's go, Rowdy. That's beautiful stuff. I was in 8th grade. I was playing in an AAU basketball tournament. A guy elbowed me, and then so he elbowed me in the face, but then it was me having my head snap back on the court and ended up in the hospital. Didn't play the rest of the tournament, but I was like 2 days later fine, 3 days later fine, but they just didn't have me work out for a week. I didn't run or do anything for a week.
So for me, and you've probably heard me tell this story before, but yeah. I was playing doubles tennis with my friend Jordan. He thought he was being a Power Ranger, and he's spinning around in circle. He's trying to beat Ivan Ooze or whoever the hell it was that was the villain in Power Rangers at the time. And me just playing tennis because that's what I'm there for. I got too close, got hit in the middle of the face with the racket, got knocked out briefly, and ended up with a concussion playing tennis.
And both those concussions led us to here, Greg. They led us to here. It's good stuff. Wouldn't have had it any other way. 10-8, this game just started back up again, but we must say good evening. We must say good night. We must bid you all adieu. We're out of here. Greg Ehrenberg, thank you so much for your analysis. Tyler Zander doing great work behind the paywall there. Don't forget to check out Odd Shopper. Behind the virtual glass, not the paywall, whatever. You know what I meant. Go check out oddshopper.com. You're beautiful inside and out, Tyler. I apologize. Go sign up for that. Well, you don't even need to sign up. You just head to oddshopper.com, play some of the props that we have available there. Good times had by all. Joel Embiid layup. This is great. Greg, any final words for the people as we head into the weekend?
No, that's pretty much it. Good luck tonight, guys. And let's now I'm hoping Joel Embiid gets going.
I cannot wait to see how many minutes we get out of one Victor Oladipo. It's going to be a sweat. It's going to be beautiful times. let's get to it. Enjoy the basketball. We'll be back doing the same thing tomorrow. I won't be. I have my one day off. Good times. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday.